See the chat. Um,
Oh yeah, I was planning on it. I'm just waiting for Discord to
see the chat. Yeah.
reopen.
Um,
Hopefully it can work.
And we're
So I can also try
live.
it in the browser.
oh, we're live.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Welcome to John Stream. We don't have a name for this or anything.
I mean, it's the premier Mercury Falcon stream.
Sure.
Yeah. And
Welcome.
we're only
Great.
dealing with minor technical difficulties with our guest here.
That's how we roll, though. If I don't knock over a bunch of shit on my desk or break something, is it really a Mercury Falcon stream?
I don't think so. I think there is like a charming quality of unprofessionalism that we bring to the table
That's what I'm
that
saying.
makes us
Also,
relatable.
Dylan G, great to have you back in the chat.
Hello.
That sounds like I didn't like having you on the show. I'm sorry, didn't mean to say it like that.
Yeah, I'm glad we're back. You're back in the place that we know you best for.
Yeah, that's your spot. Like that's where you're best. Like in that chat. We are joined. I think Trey is working on stuff, but we are joined by. Well, first of all, I am joined by Ben, who is always here.
Hello.
But then we are also joined by the iconic Zatch Bell updates from Twitter. That's right, we got him.
We finally got him after months of discussing just like, okay, who could we possibly get for our third stream, or third guest stream of this new chapter of the Mercury Falcon channel's life.
Yeah, and
Got to be Zatch Bell updates.
And that's we went big. We were like, okay, we made a list, like who are like our dream picks, and we said Mr. Beast, Dylan G, and Zatch Bell updates. And
2 out of 3 is not bad.
2 out of 3.
We're still waiting to hear back.
Well, we got so far we have one. Trey dropped.
He'll probably be back soon.
Hopefully.
Again, minor technical difficulties. We'll see how that works out.
So yeah, we read Gash Bell, the version so that is another thing, Ben, is that like I'm a little torn. Should we just start trying to call it Gash Bell now? Because like it's only used they only use that Zatch Bell branding for like that early 2000s dub. And like I feel like it's fair to go, okay, let's leave the past in the past.
Yeah, I don't know. You are always on about specifically, okay, we need to call it by its original Japanese name, no
I'm
matter
not that
how
bad.
well it's colloquially known. Well, it's because I always get mad at you when you do it. Trey hopping in and out. Are you? How's it going on your end?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Sound a little better.
Oh, okay. Thank God. So sorry about that. I'm using earbuds that I found because my mic was not working, but I'm at least on my computer now, so better than my phone.
Hell
Absolutely, yeah. It sounds really good compared.
So sorry about that. Okay.
No problem. Like it's always kind of expected on a lot of streams where it's just like, okay, let's take a sec to figure out technical stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But while we were waiting for you, me and John were just talking about whether or not we should colloquially refer to it just amongst ourselves as Zatch Bell or Gosh Bell. Now that we've become a bit more inundated with the with the actual source of it. And
oh, go ahead.
Yeah, what's your opinion on it? I want to hear it from you first.
Oh God, I have such a okay. I mean, so well, firstly, thank you for having me. Hi.
Thank you for coming on.
What?
I said thank you for coming on. I said
oh yeah, no, this is amazing.
I know. I mean, I was just telling Ben how I had 3 names that I wanted to get on a stream, and it was Dylan G, Mr. Beast, and you. And we got 2 out of 3. Dylan G was last week. This week we got Zatch Bell updates. Mr. Beast, fingers crossed. You know.
Yeah, we'll see what happens next week.
Gosh, I mean, so it's so tricky because the series came out in the US at a time when anime was still kind of being Americanized, and so we didn't really get like proper Japanese titles for a lot of series that were coming out at this time. And so I feel like so Viz introduced it to the US as Zatch Bell, which a lot of other countries also then adapted when they translated it in their languages. And so a lot of people know this series as Zatch Bell, but the Japanese title is Kunjiki no Gash. And also other countries do also have the series licensed as Gash Bell. So it's like it honestly goes by so many different names just depending on where it is and how you found it and how you came across it and everything. So me personally, while I was introduced to the series as Zatch Bell, like a lot of people were, over time I got a lot more accustomed to the Japanese, like like keeping authentic to the source material sort of situation. And so I've gotten a lot more comfortable just referring to it as Kanjiki no Gash and using everyone's Japanese names and everything. But I'm never going to police what version people use because everyone it's all the same series that we love. It's just because of how Viz introduced it here, it got a bit messed up, I guess you could say, with how many different options there are now.
You know what? I think that is like the kind of perfect way to handle that as a fan of the work because like I think yeah I think you're pretty right in with mine and John's own personal preferences of like we like the authenticity that comes with the original, but we like there's no point in getting like super elitist about it.
Oh,
It's a
100%.
name at the end of the day.
Okay,
Yeah.
but to some extent.
Well,
No, no,
I guess John's slightly more elitist than me, but I keep him
Oh,
grounded. Don't worry.
yeah, Ben's there to keep me in my place. I spend a lot of time online with anime elitist, and then I hang out with Ben to return my brain to the state of a normal, quote unquote normal human.
Close enough.
But I can kind of relate because I'm really big in like the mecha sphere of mecha anime about robots, and the first mecha anime was localized over here as Gigantor, and it was something where it was exposed to people who aren't even in the anime space. So there are people who just know it through pop culture as Gigantor, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but so when there were plenty of years that I went calling it Gigantor because I didn't really have much interaction with it, especially in its original Japanese. But
Mhm.
the more I dove into it, and especially after watching the 2004 remake anime, which actually did get released over here as Tetsujin and actually got a faithful dub and sub release, I watched that series,
Wow.
and because of that, I was like, okay, I have adapted to calling it Tetsujin. I don't feel obligated to call it Gigantor anymore because, like, maybe not as many people recognize that series, but like we've got enough localized content that has used the Tetsujin branding now that I feel like, okay, we've started to, the people who knew it as Gigantor are starting to dissipate, and there is like, if I call it Tetsujin, I don't feel like it's an elitist now because like there is a series that's dubbed in English that calls it Tetsujin. And Gosh Bell hasn't had something like that because it's only had that anime released over here. And I watched a couple of videos by YouTubers about Gosh Bell, and that's actually something I wanted to ask you about, like if you've seen any videos and what your thoughts are. But my reaction is that even the ones that are talking about the manga
Mhm.
seem to insert dubisms into their discussion.
Yeah.
I noticed that. I was just telling Ben, I watched a video by the Masked Man, who is mostly a manga reviewer. And he is talking about the manga. I understand he uses some footage from the anime just because it's more dynamic to show moving, right? But there is a point in the video where he refers to them as Momotos, and it's like, you watched the dubbed anime. You can't hide it from me.
Yeah.
He also called Tio Tia at one point, and I'm just like, oh, two
Don't
strikes,
get me
man.
started. Don't get me started.
Caught
Oh, that's
ya.
funny.
Oh gosh, no, I know. And it's like as much as I say I don't want to police people on what they say, I can't deny that it does irk me because some of the names honestly do not make sense to me. You guys have not met this character yet, but there is a character in Japanese her name is Patty. Tell me why Viz calls her Penny.
Huh.
Was there some sort
Like
of like, were they making like a pun? Like, oh, she has, I don't know, she was Scrooge McDuck's
no,
Lucky Penny.
like there's no connection, there's no pun or reference there or anything. It's just like other ones I can sort of at least I can at least try to understand where Viz was coming from, like with Tio and Tia, because they wanted to have it sound more feminine because she's a girl. And then like there's another character, Sugina, who in English they called him Sugino because boy. So it's like I can understand where they're coming. I still don't agree with it, but I can understand where they're coming from with things like that. But other characters where it's like Patty to Penny, I'm just like, Viz, you did not need to do this. Like that was already an English name.
That,
So I mean,
there's
oh,
stuff
go
like
ahead.
that. You know, I know Viz. It's not Viz. Probably didn't go as hard as 4Kids, but there's things like that in all of the 4Kids dubs too. Like, this
Yeah.
is like a weird tidbit. But in Yu-Gi-Oh, the Ben. Okay, Ben. I know you know Yu-Gi-Oh. I'm gonna ask you a trivia question.
Okay.
What is the name of the boy Pegasus pulls out of the crowd to defeat Bandit Keith?
Oh man, like that. I don't know. That's am I gonna be able to pull this from my mind palace? Hold on.
Pegasus raises the boy's hand and says, "Boy's name is the winner." At the end of the match.
Okay. Thank you for jogging just enough of my memory. He calls him Sam.
Yes, he is Sam in the dub. Do you know what his name is in Japanese?
Probably Alan or something.
It's Tom.
Yeah.
Like thank God they
Well,
changed that.
That's
That would
not a
have.
little boy's name.
It's not a little boy's name. Tom is too much of a. That's an adult name.
That is Philly.
Oh my gosh.
Uh,
So yeah, and Gosh Bell has like what? So one of the series that I'm into that I always go to Ben where I'm like I'm gonna vent about localization stuff today is I'm a big fan of Dragon Ball, but Dragon Ball is a series that while it's gotten better over the decades, I was gonna say years, but it's decades. It is still a localization that has one foot in the 90s. You know, a lot of characters don't have their original Japanese names. A lot of techniques were localized, and they've just kind of maintained those localizations. And it's kind of a thing where, as a fan who enjoys watching anime subtitled, it kind of makes me feel like, oh, I don't really. There's nothing for me to watch the dub because one of the things I care about most with watching anime since it's translated is accuracy. I tend to value accuracy
Yeah.
highly in when I watch an anime. So watching a dub that I know is not going to be the most accurate, just you know, it loses appeal for me.
Yeah.
And it feels like Gosh Bell has that even worse. Especially because I will say I pulled up some episodes of the anime, and we can talk about how we first discovered Gash or Zatch.
Mhm.
But going back, I didn't, you know, as a kid you can't really judge animation. You know, all anime just kind of looks the same to me. Man, that is not like a good anime. It's not animated very well.
Yeah. Yeah.
The episode I
People don't
pulled
like
up,
when oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say the episode I pulled up was like every time it cut to an action scene, it was like the background disappears, tons of like action lines. It just felt like, oh, this is like Toei on a they're overworked or whatever. I understand that they're doing a continuous series, but like it kind of sucks that like, oh, it's not really impressive. It just looks better in the manga.
Yeah, people don't like when I say that the anime looks bad because a lot of people do still really like the anime, and that is completely fine. Obviously, like I mean, the anime is how I was introduced to the series as well, so it's like I get it, but like I just feel like it does not do Raiku's art justice, like in any capacity.
Oh yeah,
yeah, I can see that.
yeah, and I was gonna say that's actually what really drew me to your account. It wasn't even that I had like, oh, necessarily an interest in Zatch Bell.
Mhm.
I love creators, be it people who make videos or people on, people who sort of have a series that might not be like the most popular, it doesn't have a giant fan base, but they're like, I am devoted to constantly promoting the series that is just stuck in my head. I don't know if she's in the chat, but I know Ari usually pops in on the streams. Her username is That Kodocha Girl, and it is a YouTube channel dedicated to the 1996 shoujo anime Kodocha. And not only does she make videos about Kodocha, but she's constantly posting facts about Kodocha, and she does a podcast about Kodocha, and she's always posting like, oh, the creator did another interview. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, even if it's something a series that like I'm not like super invested in, I do like Kodocha. It's a pretty fun series, but like I love that enthusiasm and that like that drive to like just promote this thing that's like, hey, this wasn't like some grand thing that every kid at school watched Kodocha or Zatch Bell. It was something that was more off to the side, but it had such a big impact on me that I'm going to be the loudest voice promoting it in the room.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like my introduction to you is basically John just saying, "Yeah, I was looking at Twitter, and it seems like every time I see someone talk about the Zatch Bell anime, I see him pop up and say, you should read the manga. You should." It's just like there's a lot of like enthusiasm, and it's like we're impressed by that.
What also caught me that I mean this as a compliment, I really do, is that you would have some catty responses to people. It was like I don't have it saved, but I have it memorized, where someone was like someone quote retweeted you and said, damn, that boy Zach isn't even Momoto King yet. And then you replied, tell me you haven't read the series without telling me. I have another one here where you tweeted, and I kind of feel bad for this girl. She kind of got caught in the crossfire, but it's very fun. It's a funny interaction where you said you tweeted this just outright. Let's set the record straight. Number 1, the series was never canceled. Number 2, the series was never unsuccessful. Number 3, it's not still going. It has a sequel. There's a difference. Number 4, yes, there's a sequel. And then I think you may have miscounted because you put 4 again.
I put 4 twice.
Okay. The sequel is not part 2. The original series is its own complete story, which was then quote retweeted with a girl who said, I know nothing about part 2, but Zatch's design is so fucking cool looking, man. To which you replied, reread the part where I said that the sequel is not a part 2.
Oh my god.
I saw that and I went, man, Zatch Bell updates doesn't miss.
It's so funny. I mean, I just initially when I first started this account, I was just planning on just posting like news that was coming out and not even commenting or not showing any like personality or anything, just like dropping the news and leaving it at that, just honestly for my own, like, because there wasn't an account that was doing this, and a lot of stuff was happening at the time when I started the account. Like a lot of merch was coming out because it was like the anniversary or something, and a lot of new things were happening, and I wanted to keep track of all of it. And so I started that like in, I don't know, 2022 or something. And then just over time, I just got tired of just dropping news and then like leaving the account or whatever. And so I tried to start like making more like socializing and commentary, like community type of messages to just get more people talking about it and everything. And in doing that, I encountered a lot of dense people. Like, I don't know. Not that everyone is like that, and obviously I don't want to sound like rude saying that, but like I very quickly lost patience with that, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna not try to be polite. Like I'm not gonna be rude to people on purpose or anything like that. But like if someone says something that's like, I'm gonna point out like, hey, actually no, this what you're saying is not exactly what the case is, and sometimes I guess some snark comes into that as well, but I have a fun time with it. I don't know.
No, that's awesome.
That's good.
So to go to the beginning, what is your origin of finding Zatch Bell?
Gosh, I mean, I was like from the very start. Like I was introduced to the series like a lot of people were, where it first premiered as an anime on Toonami. I don't remember the year, but I remember it was like I was in sixth grade and I was seeing commercials for it before it even premiered. And right from the commercial, I was hooked. I mean, it was narrated by the guy who voices Optimus Prime in the live action Transformers movies. So it was like Kyo was a middle school student who no one understood or whatever. It was like I was like captivated, and just the concept that it was showing in the trailers of like human reads from spellbook and this little child monster therewith can cast spells. I was like right away. I mean, because I mean, I grew up, you know, with Pokemon and everything, and not that this series is Pokemon because there's so many differences, but it ultimately the same like partnership dynamic I feel like as with like trainer and Pokemon. And so I was right off the bat, like that formula was calling to me. And so when that first episode came out, from literally day one when this premiered, I have been enthralled in this series. Like it started with the anime, and then you know I found out it was a manga, and the manga was coming out in English as well. So I was reading that, and then it was a card game that I was obsessed with. Um, and then just it's just been a part of my life since then. Like it was, and then it was like I was in high school when the fan translations of the final arc and the final chapters were coming out, so I was reading those with some friends that I'd gotten that had gotten into the series as well in high school. And so it's just like it's just been a constant in my life since I was like 10. And it's just it's not going anywhere. Like there's no other series or anything that I'm as much a fan of as I am with this series.
Nice.
That's awesome because I feel like a lot of people, they find something as a kid that really resonates with them, and I find that a lot of people lose that for a bit and they sort of have to rediscover it. I feel like there's plenty of
Yeah.
series that I liked as a kid I kind of stepped away from or moved on from or out about, and then it was only
Yeah.
rediscovering them that is like, oh, this really wasn't had an impact on me because I'm still remembering it. I still have like a connection to it. So that's really interesting that it was just with that you stayed with it, especially through like all of the tumultuous stuff the series went through, which
Oh,
we can get into
oh,
a
I know.
little later. I, I am curious, Ben. Do you have any introduction to Zatch Bell?
I really know very
Like,
little
oh,
about it.
that's right. You didn't have cable growing up.
I didn't have cable. It was like the basic cable that just did not include
Yeah.
much more than like Kids WB. So I only had like very passing glances at it, and then at one point I was just watching this artist channel talk about their understanding of Zatch Bell, and the way they described it was specifically it's like Pokemon, except instead of Pikachu, it's a child it's a baby that shoots lightning, and it's like okay, you're fighting babies, got it. That's I think a fairly accurate rundown, but that was my only understanding of Zatch Bell. And also I knew about Polygon and Polygon's signature Meru Meru Me, and I was like, I can't wait to get to that part in the comic, and I haven't been able to reach it yet. I assume it's coming up very soon, based on what I've seen, but
I
I haven't gotten to it yet. It's not in the first 5 volumes.
That's funny because I feel like I watched Zatch Bell intermittently. Like I would catch episodes. I remember one of the things about reading this manga is I I clearly didn't watch the show every week because there were some like the botanical garden episode I was or chapter I was like I don't remember this episode, but I remember the first one, the first couple episodes. Like I remember Azash's introduction, I remember the robbery, I remember the ice guy, and I'm like, okay, 1 2 3, I remember these. And then it gets to that one and I'm like, oh, I don't remember that one. But then I remember Sherry and Brago showing up because I was like, I thought that Brago was going to be the main villain. Maybe he turns out to be, but it seems like from what I've read so far, he's not necessarily the main antagonist. Um, or maybe he is. He gives me like a Vegeta vibe. Uh, but maybe
Oh,
I'm
like
wrong.
I'm terrible with. I'm not gonna remember any of the
You
characters'
don't
names.
remember Brago?
But is that the guy who like showed
Loses
up in their house?
yeah, he like loses
Yeah,
his
they showed up
arm.
at his house.
Okay, yeah, yeah. Because then he shows up again later when he's fighting another demon child and gets his arm ripped off, and like that was something that was a bit weird to me because I was like, I can't tell. Is there like a rule where these demon children can suffer this kind of bodily harm and recover from it? I don't know yet.
I mean,
So,
Zatch has said that he is like a super strong body, but I don't know if that's specifically just
like,
him or all. I mean, I can imagine that applies to all the demons.
yeah, like
Mhm.
it gave the impression that all of them heal quickly. I mean, I guess
Yeah.
if you want to confirm that for us, and let us know.
Yeah, I mean, though that part was weird to me too, especially because, like, again, coming from the anime does not have that part with his
Oh yeah,
arms. I remember
Yes.
when I read the manga, I was like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" But it's like never touched on again, so it honestly kind of is just a visual like way of showing like, yeah, they can heal really, really quickly. Like we knew that with Gash because after their battles, he was like fine the next day, whereas Kiyomaru was like still in bandages like weeks later.
yeah,
But we don't really know it's to what extent until we see Brago can literally just reattach his arm and it's fine again, I guess. Like the same way a human would like if their finger got cut off or something, they can reattach it. I guess for the
yeah.
demons that can extend to like an arm. But it's never touched on, it's never verbally addressed. It just kind of just happens in the background and it's just like, oh, okay, well.
Okay then. But so you saw that, you thought that was the main villain,
I
John,
did think
and
I did as a kid I thought that was the main villain, and I feel like the American opening, which I actually had to look up, um does sort of portray him. There's like no other like evil looking character that really stands out if I'm remembering it right. So I was like, oh, he's like, my interpretation was he was going to be the main villain, but reading from what I'm reading, he seems like he's going to be more of a Vegeta type character. Um, I do remember that I saw the Kululu episode of the anime, and I remember thinking like,
Oh.
oh wow, this is like the most. I thought this was like the most tragic and saddest episode of the show, and I was like,
Mhm.
but I thought that because I had missed the episode about Shinichi, where he's like
Oh yeah.
where he's going to destroy the school, and so
Mhm.
I think the anime may change the order of some of the encounters, because I feel like Kolulu in the anime was she after I don't know how well you know the anime order. Was she after like Shinichi? Was Shinichi like early in the anime?
I don't rewatch the anime as frequently as I reread the manga, so I'm checking right now the episode order. So it's Kalulu, and then it's
yeah.
Fane, and then
While you're
it's
doing that, John,
Yashros.
I did want to bring up like if you want to switch to showing my drawing screen,
Oh yeah, you drawing
and I'm
something
not,
Zatch Bell related?
yeah, I might just be drawing Zatch himself,
Oh, okay.
but I also wasn't sure if there's like music coming through. Uh,
Oh, there it goes.
yeah,
Heck yeah.
there we go. It's good old Zatchy.
Hold on, let me put you on. Let me put you on screen. Only I can see it right now.
Oh, okay. And
But what I
I've
was
got
gonna
music
say,
playing. Is that coming through? I just want to make sure I can't tell any of this myself.
yes,
So.
it is coming through now.
Okay, cool.
No, in the manga, the anime are the same order as far as like Kalulu and Eshros and everything.
Okay, so I just
Okay.
missed those
Yeah.
episodes.
There are a couple of instances I think later on that are swapped, but I don't remember those off the top of my head. I'm not as well versed with the anime as I mean, I've watched the anime, I've seen all of it, but that was so long ago.
Yeah, I recently looked at like because I wanted to see like, oh, what how long is this arc going to be? How what at what point is
Hmm.
Ponygon going to show up? You know, all the important stuff. And
Yeah.
and I saw a couple of occasions where they switched around in episode order, but not very much at all.
Yeah, I think if anything, they change. Like I know for a fact in the anime they introduce Umagon or Ponygon a lot earlier than the manga does, or maybe vice versa. One of them introduces him a lot sooner and integrates him into episodes more than in the manga. But as far as like episodes or battles, I don't again off the top of my head,
That's
I don't remember.
that's something I remember because I definitely remembered Umagon from the anime, and I remember like episodes where Zatch is at the park and Umagon is there.
Yeah.
I am I've gotten pretty far into where I watched in the anime in the manga now, because I did not watch very far past Tio's introduction, or Tia as she was called. I didn't watch very far past her introduction, and so I've definitely seen Umagon in earlier episodes than where I'm at manga wise.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds right. I think
It would make
there's
sense. Like it's kind of like a
Yeah.
mascot, kind of cutesy animal type character. They definitely want to introduce that sooner.
Yeah, I think. Oh no, they also. I'm sorry, I totally misspoke. They do. There is a one fight that they do misplay, or not misplay, but they place it differently. In the anime, you meet Tio before you meet like the robot Robnos, but in the manga, it's a lot different. You do the Robnos fight, and then several chapters later, it's the Tio chapters.
Well, Tio, isn't she like, she's like hinted at in the manga? Like they show a page that I suppose that is supposed to be like Megumi finding her book, where she pulls her out of the water.
Yeah, no, one of the things I love about the original, because the newer editions, because the manga has been reprinted like so many different times in Japan. Meanwhile, in the US, we're just trying to get one printing of it. But the first editions, the 33 volume edition of the series, each beginning of the volume had an illustration that Raikou did that kind of depicts how one of the human partners met their demon partner. And it's just a really neat illustration that's not necessarily something that gets touched on in the narrative. It's just a bit of backstory that we get to see just through an illustration. And each volume has that. Each of the 33 volumes has that with one of the characters, like one of the pairings throughout this series. And so that's something I really, really love that Raikou did. And yeah, one of one of those for the one for volume 4 is how Megumi met Tio, and it's just, oh god, I love them so. They're my favorite characters, so I really like what he did with those two.
Yeah, I didn't pay much attention to the extra stuff. I read a little bit of it because I always like the little like author. I don't know if you call those omake segments. I don't know terms well enough, but just like little segments where he just has like a page where he talks about how he loves laying in futons or whatever. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah, he
no,
used to do a lot of those.
I like those little bits.
Yeah, same.
Um,
This drawing is amazing, by the way.
oh, thank you.
This
Yeah,
looks great.
I'm in case it wasn't clear, I'm pretty actually big into just manga in general. So of course I was happy to have an excuse to read another manga because like it's hard to find the time sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, perfect, an excuse to read a manga and really study it. And I got concerned because I was like, oh, I've got so many things I could talk about. And then I realized, oh, wait, all of these are kind of like criticisms, and I don't want to spend the whole time criticizing this thing we're out here to talk about because we like it. But so I want to preamble by saying, this guy's art is actually very similar to mine in a way. Like this is very natural for me to try to imitate. Like I'm just looking at you're pulling my screen down. I'm looking at a reference from the first chapter. Where is it? I lost it as soon as I tried to bring it here. Just this image right here, and and it's like very similar to how I would draw. Like the eyes definitely aren't as big, but everything else is kind of like in my wheelhouse as far as what I like to draw. And so I think the reason I started thinking like, oh, this part I have an issue with, this part I have an issue with, is really because I feel so close to this type of art style and how he decides to draw everything. And it's like I can imagine myself drawing something like this, and that's why I'm critiquing it. So if I do critique stuff about the art, I will 100% want you to understand it's from a place of, oh, it's because like that is so like close to me that it's mine. I feel like it's mine as well as his.
No, totally. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with criticism. Like there are definitely things in this series that I don't like how Raikou handled, or I wish he handled it differently. And I mean, just with other, I won't get into it, but just there's definitely criticism to be had for this series too. And I don't think that, I mean, I'm never gonna take offense to that. Like it's not like I'm gonna like correct people and be like, oh, actually, you shouldn't be having this criticism. You're wrong for this. This series is amazing. Like I'm never gonna do anything like that. But I know I love that. I love that. Like I love Raiku's like evolution of art style because the very beginning of the manga does not look like how the end of the like his style goes through like two, three or four very distinct changes. Honestly, like per
I don't
arc,
want
I
to
would
spoil
say.
myself, but I actually want to look up and see what the later stuff looks like.
Oh
I'll
gosh,
just
yeah.
grab something out of context. Yeah, I assume like the 300s is probably where you can see how much it's changed.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, his
Oh
art
wow.
style during the third arc, I would
Wow.
say, is my favorite probably.
Around where is
I was gonna
that?
say that guy
Third
that
arc.
looks like a Tagashi character right there.
I'd say
Yeah,
like two 80s, 270s. That's third arc stuff.
okay, 280s. Let's check around 280. I don't like that.
That's fourth arc. I'm wrong, but whatever.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
So I know that the anime doesn't complete the manga. Did they at least make up an ending, or is it just like?
So, I mean, yes, but like very poorly. So, okay, so the manga is 4 arcs. That's it. So there's and then the anime adapts 3 of those 4 arcs, but like huge asterisk to that because the third arc in the anime is completely different from how it plays out in the manga. And by different, I mean awful and worse. It's done really poorly, and then they just wrap it up with like some like half-assed epilogue from that arc. So it doesn't they don't even conclude that arc really. They just kind of like wrap it up in an episode because they hit episode 150 and they were like, you know what, that's enough of that. And then they kind of just stopped after that. So there's really it's not a satisfying conclusion in the anime whatsoever. And it's yeah, it's I wouldn't say, I mean, it's the last episode, so they end it, but I wouldn't say it feels like a conclusion.
Do they at least go like, "You did it, Zatch. Now you're the Momoto King," and then it's
No,
like,
they don't, which is stupid because that's the point. Like, I mean, I don't, well, it's the title, so it's like the manga does have a conclusion like that, where, but the anime leaves it off where there are still so many people in the battle still, and it's kind of just like an epilogue of him, about to start another battle, and then like that's where the episode ends, and that's where the anime ends. So it has an open-ended ending, which doesn't feel satisfying at all because this series is so. What I love about it, well, one of the many things I love about it is it's actually like it's point A to point B, and that's it. There's no fluff. There's no dragging it on longer than it needs to. It is you know the premise right from the get-go. They are here for the last person standing to be king of their world, and so that is what you are reading and experiencing. And so you get to the end that is promised to you in the beginning, and the anime doesn't fulfill that promise. So it's just kind of really disheartening and a bummer.
so with the last arc being so different, I'm curious,
Mhm.
where was the manga? Did the anime catch up to the manga and they just had to make stuff up, or was it like the manga was already out but they were like just decided, artistic liberty, let's do our own thing?
So during when Raikou was doing I believe it was the third arc, it might be the fourth arc. I'm not too clear on which one, but during that time when Raikou was working on those chapters, he injured his like wrist or his arm or something like that, and so he had to take some time off. And so that affected the production of the anime episodes. And then so Toei got to a point where they could either do another filler arc, which again, by the way, the anime filler arcs are absolute garbage. I don't like to, just say things like that about stuff, but like honestly, they are so bad. They are so inconsistent with with the story that Raikou does, and they don't follow any of like the rules that he sets with the story. Like they
Yeah.
completely contradict and do not fit at all, and you can tell that they're filler arcs because the designs and just everything about them just stands out as like this has nothing to do with what Raikou is doing here. But so rather than do another filler arc to wait to catch up to the chapters for Raikou to start making chapters again, Toei kind of just decided to wrap it up themselves and just do their own thing and then end it prematurely.
So it seems like they were kind of just like, well, we can't put the anime on hiatus. We got to make something. Let's just put it out.
Yeah.
It kind of it's funny because when you were talking about how like, oh, the filler arcs, they stopped following the rules. That reminds me of the Hunter x Hunter movies, the non-canon Hunter x Hunter movies where they make a character whose powers he can just do anything. And it's like,
Oh my gosh.
it's a series that's known for its like hard power system, and they're just like, oh, he's a specialist type Nen user. And it's like, so, well, specialist type Nen user is a real type of Nen user, and you can't just do there. It's not arbitrary. There's still rules.
Yeah, I mean it's that same sort of situation. Like with the spells in the series are so like the nomenclature that Raikou has established with these spell names is so intricate and so consistent, and I am so mad that he has never released like just an information book about this because it is so particular, like what element the spell is, what type of movement or action the spell is doing. All of it has, there's prefixes and there's suffixes to the language of these spell names that are so, it's so meticulous. And
Yeah, I
so
agree with,
there are
like,
filler,
patterns in there.
it's really really good, and it stays consistent and thorough like the entire time. And so one of my gripes with the dub is that they tried to, because obviously the spells are written in katakana, and so they tried to quote unquote translate the spell names, but Viz is very inconsistent with that. And so some spells still have some of the consonants that the Japanese spells would have had, and then other spells they dropped those consonants. Like Zakeru, for example, is Gash's first spell. In Japanese, it's Zakeru with the U at the end. I'm not pronouncing it the way you would in Japanese, but those
Yeah,
are
but
the
I think
letters that are
I
in it.
always I said in my head is Zakaru, which I think is
Me too,
probably
Yeah,
better.
that's more accurate. I massively Englishified it, but then in the English dub, Viz called it Zakare, so they dropped the U. But then there are later spells that he has where they kept the U in the spell, and it's just like if you dropped the U earlier, so it's very Viz is very inconsistent with that. But then with the filler arcs, it is the spells that these made up, these anime only demons have do not follow any sort of pattern or structure. They're just random sounds the characters are saying, and it stands out so poorly because it's such an intricate and just well thought out spell naming system that is just not present in the anime filler episodes.
Did they not realize he had a spell naming system?
I have no, there's so many things. I wish I could like be a fly on the wall during so many of like the just meetings of just how planning this series and working on these episodes and everything must have gone, because like I have no idea. There are so many things that I have so many questions about.
Well, I know back in the day, Viz in particular, if this is a gripe with the manga translation, that Viz was definitely really loosey goosey with their translations for a while there.
Yeah.
I'm a big One Piece fan, and I have a lot of issues with how their translations of the early stuff went.
You don't like Grog?
I think Grog is the least terrible part of it. It's just like all the yo ho hos and just straight up mistranslations, and
Yeah.
the fact that they had like mild tier 1 curse levels like damn and bastard, and then they went and replaced them with like blast instead of damn, and it's like why would you do this? They really had a lot of growing pains as a translator until very recently.
Yeah, I do think too that Viz, this is my personal opinion, but I feel like Viz did not know how to market this series in the US. Like, I feel like they thought that because there are a lot of child characters in the series, it's like a kid's cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And so the anime, well, the English dub of the anime censored out a lot of blood and injuries and things like that.
And they turned they turned that guy's gun into like I don't know what to call it, but like
Oh,
I
no. I know exactly.
they
There are actually two different censored versions of that episode. One of them they make it like a blue water gun, and the other one they make it like just a round
Yes,
bulbous
the bulbous one is the one I
thing.
saw because
Yeah.
I watched I wanted to see what other people thought of the series, and so I watched other
Hmm.
people's videos, and everyone uses dub clips because they've only watched the dub, and
Hmm.
that was the thing that stuck out is that I'm listening to this guy talk over B-roll footage of Zatch Bell, and I'm like, what is that guy holding? Is that the gun?
Yeah, so I feel like that in tandem with them calling the series Zatch Bell, it has a lot more of like a cartoony vibe to it, I feel. And so I honestly feel like they didn't know how to market. I mean, it was like the first like of the Toonami block before they got into the deeper stuff like Naruto and then later Bleach or whatever. Well, Bleach was Adult Swim, but like it was the starter to Toonami's block. So that was kind of their transition out of Maguzi and into like the more actual like anime stuff. And so I feel like they thought by putting it in the earlier time slot and everything, I that gives me the impression that they thought this was a lot more of a childish series than I feel it's a very mature. I'm not that it's like a seinen or anything like that, but like I feel like there are a lot of mature themes and there's a lot of intense. I mean, with the Kalulu stuff, for example, like there's a lot of intense feelings of grief and trauma and things like that that are expressed in this series that I just feel like Viz didn't clock, I guess, when marketing the series and bringing it to the US.
Yeah, I think that definitely was like a transitory time because
Mm.
they probably like I think the Gash Bell to Zatch Bell naming scheme was to make it sound cooler. Like I know there is like this desire to make things seem cooler for an American audience. Making the angry eyebrows on Kirby and stuff when they
Yeah.
bring those over.
Yeah.
So I think that is a big part of it, but also there is the terrified censorship that happens. So it's kind of like just restricted on both ends. It can't be
Mhm.
too edgy, but it also can't be too silly. It's a
Yeah.
weird
That
it's
was
weird how they have
that
to
was
balance that.
that was an issue that with one of my favorite anime, the 2001 Cyborg 009 anime, which also aired on it aired on Toonami initially, but they actually played reruns on regular Cartoon Network, and it's
Oh.
one of those things where it's like it's cartoony enough that you would think it would be fine, but it's still an anime, so yeah, people are gonna die and bleed, and it's like yeah, and it had some issues there. Uh, they had to censor dialogue, and then it unfortunately didn't do. Unlike Zatch Bell, which apparently did well but we can talk more about that. But Cyborg 009 did not do well, probably because its art style made it unappealing to older audiences, and then the violence made it unappealing to younger audiences. So just got chucked in a 1 a.m. time slot, so they finished it. Unfortunately.
Dang. Yeah, that's a death sentence, the 1 a.m. time slot.
Mm-mm. I actually want to run to the restroom. We could do a little break, and then I actually want to talk about the how well the show did over here, and then the trouble ahead that happened with the series that may be the reason why people aren't as familiar with it. I think that contributed to a reason why it sort of left the consciousness of people. Um,
Hmm.
but we could talk about that in a minute. I'm just gonna run to the restroom.
Okay.
Sure. In the meantime, I will catch up with the chat a little bit. Question: did you guys check out the latest episode of Digital Circus? Neither me or John have kept up with it. I think we both just watched the first episode and was like, not for me. Kept the weird dancing Fulgore in. I don't know. That might be a part of a larger conversation that I'm missing.
They're
Oh, they
talking about
changed the
Weston.
Opie song that he sings
Yeah.
to "Hey,
What
hey,
was
hey, let's
censored?
dance all day." Okay, yeah, yeah. I figured that would absolutely be one of the things that was censored
Hmm.
in there.
Yeah.
Uh, Opie Moge or Moge Moge probably is what it would be.
Yeah.
Uh, mentioned the hospital episode a bunch. Yeah. Let me pull that up and pull it on screen. That was like a weird, a weird part. Like it's kind of like in the very early chapters where you're still gauging what the tone of the story is, and seeing this nurse who was just like weirdly clinging on to Kiyomaru.
Yeah.
Let's see, what chapter would that be?
Oh gosh, let's see.
I feel like the chapter name must have something to do with hospital, right? Yep,
It's like
Kiyo in the hospital.
I was gonna say it's like Kiyomaru hospitalized or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Just nurse grabbing onto him
Mhm.
and blushing. Yeah, that some unsettling implications there. And I think that's like nothing there's no punchline to it beyond that happening, as far as I remember.
Yeah, no, Raikou just does like that's the thing. One of my criticisms is I don't necessarily always care for his sense of humor, quote unquote humor, because some of the stuff that he does that obviously he's presenting it in a way where he thinks that it's funny, but there's nothing in it for me.
Mhm.
And so it's kind of just like I just like roll my eyes and just like okay, whatever, next page.
Yeah.
And that's definitely one of those moments, I would say.
They're like it's very hit or miss for me because like I totally get
Hmm.
like that kind of stuff, but at the
Yeah.
other time when was it Fulgore? I'm again terrible with names.
Fulgore.
Fulgore.
Ogore.
Sorry.
No
The
worries.
chapter where he first shows up, I think is hilarious from start to finish. Uh, I I think he like maybe like the dance is like okay he likes boobs, I get it, but the fact that it starts with a fake Kiyomaru with a big nose at the very beginning, and just like it constant like just attempts at
The I
fighting
was gonna say
that fail.
I actually laughed out loud at the where he keeps he's like I am the invincible Iron Man, and then he gets shot, and then he's shot with the lightning. And then
Yeah,
when you turn the page, it's the same panel of him getting up, and then
Yeah.
getting shot again. And then after like 3 times, Kanchime is like, "We're invincible," and then he's like, "Kanchime, we need to talk. I'm not invincible."
Yeah. I love when he like uncovers like his like burnt nipple. He's like, I can't fight anymore. Like
He
like,
says it's a soot sprite. The nice little Totoro reference.
oh yeah, yeah.
That's the stuff that I find like entertaining and funny. Like not necessarily the stuff that Raikou like tries to present over the top as gags. That's not the stuff that like resonates with me. It's like the more like dialogue humor like that gets me.
I found this page really funny too with the with the
Oh, the
curry that went
curry.
wrong.
Yeah.
He's got some really good expression work in there.
Oh, he's really, really expressive. That's one of the things I really appreciate about his art.
Now, I'm pretty sure in one of your shorts you said, while talking about the series, you said there's a character in one of the biggest shonen manga that's an homage to Zatch Bell. Were you talking about Aoyama from My Hero Academia?
I might have been. That sounds right. Yes, yeah, Fulgore inspired, or sorry, Aoyama was inspired in part by Fulgore. I don't know if it was design and personality or both, but it was something that Horikoshi's notes on Aoyama lists like mentions Fulgore by name. I think he says like not as stupid as Fulgore or something like that. I could be misremembering what the actual quote is, but it does have like mention of Fulgore on it, which I thought was really cool because I feel like not enough or not I feel like not many, if at all, mangaka like actually reference this series as an inspiration of theirs or a series they're a fan of. I feel like no one talks about this series despite how successful this series is.
Yeah.
And that's like always baffling to me because I feel like there's a lot of manga that does like the mangaka was inspired in some part or aware of this series and it has influenced their work, but then they never talk about it. So when I can find moments where it is directly like referenced or super obvious in that case, I just think it's really cool because I'm just like in my head I'm like okay, like the creator of My Hero Academia, which is like this massive, massive, massive series, super successful, super popular, so beloved, like it was so mainstream and everything is inspired by this series. I'm like, what are we doing? Like, why are we not also this level of fan with Kanjiki no Gash? Like, I don't. That's the one thing I was just like, please read this series. It's so good.
I do think that well, I guess that wouldn't explain the silence in Japan, but I do feel like a part of why it sort of drifted out of consciousness in the West is because of the legal issues around the series and how it sort of
Mm,
went like, it was completely sort of taken away because of those legal issues.
yeah.
If you want to explain it to the chat, because there are some people who, Dylan G, for example, has no idea what Zatch Bell is. I actually wanted to ask, if you don't mind, I think you might be the same age as me or Ben. I'm curious. I'm 32. Ben is 33. Are you the
I'm
same?
32.
32? Okay.
Yeah.
John's age.
Yeah. I mean, oh gosh. Okay, so yeah, so the manga in Japan was published under Shogakukan. So it was in Weekly Shonen Sunday in Japan all throughout its run. And so Shogakukan owns Viz, which is why Viz was the one who was publishing it in the US. After the series was completed in Japan, Raikou filed a lawsuit against Shogakukan because they had lost a few of his original illustrations that he did for the series. Like there were, because he would do like colored illustrations for the start of a chapter or something like that here or there throughout the series, and so those all made it into the manga. So those are obviously copies of the original pieces, but the actual canvas that he painted on, which I think he's a phenomenal paint, like his color work is so beautiful, so vibrant. I love his coloring, and so he filed a lawsuit against them because they lost a few of his original like paintings that he'd done. And obviously, while a publisher is taking care of this mangaka has their IP and everything, you wanna respect their work. You wanna know where their pieces are. And so Raikou filed that lawsuit. He won the lawsuit, which resulted in Shogakukan having to forfeit their right to license this series. So the rights, I don't know, obviously all the specifics of this. I don't know if the rights went back to Raikou or if they went just immediately to a different publisher. I have no idea how that works, but because Shogakukan had to forfeit the series, that means Viz had to stop publishing it immediately. We stopped at volume 25 out of 33 volumes, but there were English pre-order listings for up to volume 28. Like there are English covers for up to volume 28. I don't know if any of those ever got printed like in the warehouses or whatever. But there were pre-order listings, so there was never any intent for them to stop publishing the series. A lot of people think the series got canceled because it wasn't popular. And that's not the case. It just Viz legally could not publish anymore. So they had to stop where they were at the time, which is why English stopped at volume 25. And then in Japan, the rights went over to Kodansha, so they republished, they reprinted the series in a few different editions in Japan for a few years, and during that time in the US, we were getting Raiku's next series, Animal Land, and we got that one completely. And during this time, Kodansha had a Tumblr account where people could reach out directly to Kodansha and recommend licensing series or whatever. And people, myself included, would message them and be like, "Hey, what about Raiku's other series? Since you're doing Animal Land, what about Kanjiki no Gash?" And they expressed several times they didn't want to do any license rescuing, so they just didn't want to do it. And so we never got Kanjiki no Gash from them. But Volume 6 of Animal Land has a bonus one shot for Kanjiki no Gash that came out a year after the series concluded. So this was back when it was still with Shogakukan. After a year after the series ended, Raikou made a one shot, celebrating that. And that one shot was later printed in volume 6 of Animal Land. And since America was getting Animal Land, we have in English volumes 1 through 25. We don't have volumes 26 through 33, and then we have the epilogue one shot in Animal Land volume 6, and that is it for English for Zatch Bell. Yeah, and then since then it stopped being with Kodansha, and Raikou has his own. He has his own company now. He owns the IPs for all of his series now, and he's the one who's publishing his series.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's a quick, brief timeline history of where the rights were, what happened to them, and where they are now.
And from what I understand, the reason why they don't like to do a license rescue is because, unlike with like an anime where it's like, oh, we're just reprinting the Blu-ray or the DVD, with a manga, you know, you're reprinting it for the fans, and it's like, do we start from volume 1? Everyone we're selling this to already has volumes 1 through 25, so those might not sell well, and then you have to go and basically wait until why is someone asking in the chat how long is this chat between John? Oh, how long is it scheduled for? We talked about this. Interrupting myself real quick. We on our last one, we literally streamed until we were exhausted, and I told Ben we will never do that again. We're shooting...
I'll remind us to be capped at 3 hours. We started
I was gonna say
an hour ago now.
I was gonna say 2 hours, and if we're still like on a roll and having a ball, let's give ourselves another 30 minutes, right? Okay, so we started at 9:30. We're an hour in, so that's just to let you know. So with a manga license rescue, it's way more complicated because you're selling 30 volumes, right? So
yeah, 33 volumes.
Yeah, so that's it's a bit more difficult than like a license rescue with an anime on DVD or Blu-ray, because that's how I think of license rescues. Discotek always does them, and they're always great because it's like, the series that was released on 4 DVD sets in 2005 is on 1 Blu-ray now. But with manga, it's way more difficult to sell a license rescue. So I understand why they were like that. You have mentioned it. Whenever a publisher is like taking requests, apparently they rely heavily on reader requests to decide what they want to license. And I always see you replying, make sure to tell them you want Zatch Bell.
Yeah, I mean, well, firstly, I just want to briefly, you mentioned Discotek. They released the 2 Zatch Bell movies like several years ago, and I hope, I mean, as much as I dislike the anime, I would love for them to re-release the anime, because I have the movies that they did, and they did a great job with, you know, subtitling it, what the names they call the characters and everything. And I just really love that Zatch Bell is still technically part of the Discotek family, because I love the work the Discotek does. I have some of their Digimon releases, and I love that they do this. They save, you know, older, unknown, or like less, you know, like underrated series. And so I love that they have the Zatch Bell movies, because the movies are still really fun. But yeah, no, so I've spoken, like, I've emailed so many publishers, like, I've done so much digging to find, like, their customer service or their marketing teams or whoever to, like, contact and be like, how, like, what do you look at when it comes to licensing a series? And literally every single publisher, and I'm so vocal about this online because I feel like it really is like a team effort. Like, every publisher says they pay attention to social media. They look at what people are talking about. So literally all we have to do is talk about how we want this series. And it's like no one does. No one is. Like, I'll make a tweet about it. Like, I'm like, if you want the series back in English, like, you need to say something. And then people will like that tweet, but not like make their own tweets. I'm like, tag the publishers, fill out the surveys that they post, because some publishers release surveys asking people for what licenses or for what they want to license. And it's just like, all you have to do is talk about it. And people are just like, man, I wish the series would come out in English. Oh, well, it's just like, we can do something about it. Literally every publisher tells me directly, like, the answer is we just need to talk about it and make a big enough deal about it so that they see that there's money in this for them. Because obviously publishers are only looking at it from a financial standpoint, and there is a lot to, like, the manga is being licensed in so many other countries, and not that I'm not happy for those other countries, obviously, but like, it is weird that it's happening everywhere else except for the US. Like, it is, obviously it's doing extremely, extremely well in Japan, but it was licensed in Spanish, it was licensed in Portuguese, it was licensed in French and Italian. It's all of those it's in all of those languages except for English still. And that is what's baffling to me, because usually it's the other way around.
Yeah. So someone in the chat, if there was a recent one, can you post a link to it in the chat so people can actually, like, we'll get everyone in this chat, go right now and tweet at who do we need to tweet at? Was it Dark Horse?
It's any publisher, honestly. There's so like it's because the license is up for grabs now. Like Raikou has on his website a section for companies to like reach out to him for license or for obtaining the license. Like for the anime as well. Toei's license expired 2024 and they chose not to renew it. So like literally everything is up for grabs when it comes to licensing this series. It's just a matter of a publisher or a studio going and like inquiring about obtaining that license, which I mean, for all we know, things like that could be happening behind closed doors already. But it's like he fully has a page on his website for people to submit license inquiries. So literally any publisher you want to see do this series, like anyone's fair game. Like I reach out to Seven Seas, I tag Kodansha, I tag Yen Press,
I guess we should
I
say
tag Square Enix.
I guess we should say except Viz.
Yeah, literally, yeah, because there are people who are like, Viz, bring it back. I was like, legally, they can't do that.
Yeah.
So, it's like,
so
their hands are
not
tied.
except Viz. Viz can't
Yeah.
do it. I think I've also seen, since I've started following, I think I did see someone a tweet at Viz, and like I just like I knew there was some issue, but I was like, I don't think Viz is allowed to do it. I think there's like a legal thing, but I didn't want to say anything because I didn't know for sure. But yeah. So anyway,
Yeah, people tag Viz, they tag Toei, and they're like, come on, Toei, bring it back. I'm like, for so many reasons, they can't.
Oh man.
Someone said Manga Mavericks. That would be awesome. That would be because
they were one. Yeah, I just found out about them today. I tweeted them. They have a survey as well, so I tweeted out that survey. And then yeah, there's a lot of other like indie manga publishers that are coming onto the scene now. So as I learn about more and more of them, you know, I follow them. I ask if they have surveys available. There's another one, Kodama, I believe, is one that a few of my followers mention really liking the quality of their work. So they're one that I keep in mind now. But it's literally like anybody can do it. It's just a matter of I also feel like it is kind of a translation nightmare as far as the character names, the spell names. I can understand why a publisher would not want to touch this series because it's like, do you go with what's authentic or do you go with what people in the US know?
authentic.
Because every other, yeah, well, that's my preference as well. But like every other in the different languages that it's been licensed, it's literally called something different in every single one. So like the Japanese title, Kanjiki no Gash. In Portuguese, it's Gash Bell. In Spanish, it's Zatch Bell. In Italian, in French, it's Kanjiki no Gash Bell, which was the name of the anime. And then I believe Italian was also Zatch Bell. So it's like literally everyone's doing their own thing. And in Portuguese, originally back when it was first coming out, like when the original run was coming out, they were calling it Zatch Bell. So now the new Portuguese edition is Gash Bell. So it's like it's possible for them to do an updated name change like that. But I feel like unfortunately, Zatch Bell is it's a lot of people recognize it by the name Zatch Bell. And I feel like whoever, like, I don't care what they call it in English. I just want it officially in English, but I would prefer them to do like Kanjiki no Gash or Gash Bell or something along those lines, like a happy medium of the two. But even if they called it Zatch Bell, I don't care. I just want some publisher to save it.
It's funny because it's kind of like you know, there are some Japanese names. I talked about the Gigantor to Tetsujin, and that one was an easy transition. And I think that, you know, Gigantor has kind of been phased out as a localization, but there are some localizations from that era that haven't been phased out. Like Astro Boy has become accepted by Tezuka Productions as its international title. So as far as Tezuka's company is concerned, they love calling it Astro Boy for overseas fans. In fact, I have Discotech's release of the 80s Astro Boy anime, and I watched it subtitled, and the subtitles call him Astro Boy, even though they call him Adam in the dialogue. He's called Astro Boy in the subs. Astro Girl is still called Uran, which is her Japanese name, but the name Astro Boy is just so ubiquitous. I wouldn't be surprised if a group did Zatch Bell and they were like, we're going to keep everything authentic, but he's got to be Zatch because that's the name people. I mean,
that's... Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
That's kind of what Discotech did too, because the cover of the movie bundle that they released on Blu-ray, it has Zatch Bell in the name, but if you watch the movies, the subtitles are calling him Gash. Like it's just like for better or worse, like Zatch, it seems like is here to stay. Like, I just like, I feel like Viz made it such a mess because I mean, like you're buying a movie that says Zatch Bell on the cover, and then in the movie you're watching it, and like you're like, where's Zatch? Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it is a complicated issue because I
Yeah.
remember talking to John a bit about just like I think Dragon Ball was the subject at the time. It was just like it's made so many changes that it kind of like is its own show. It's like its own version of the show
Yeah.
where
Mhm.
an audience has become a fan of that particular show. They're not just a fan of
Yeah.
Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball. They're a fan of Dragon Ball Z, where Krillin, not Kuririn, yells Destructo Disc and shoots beams at people. And it's like that's what they like is that particular
Yeah.
show that they saw. And so at that point, it's like it is. I think there is like some validity to um like saying okay this is part of the show's legacy. This was a
Yeah.
version of it that was released, and so I don't think I would necessarily have a problem with them releasing it as Zatch Bell. I think Gosh Bell is kind of like a happy medium, but if I saw it as Zatch Bell, and even if like they kept everything else the same except for the Gash being called Zatch throughout I think like as long as they kept like everything else, as accurate as possible, I think it could work.
Yeah, I mean, I believe the Spanish edition, it does call him Zatch, but I know in the summaries, at least, I don't have the physical volumes, but in the synopsis of the volumes, it's like Zatch and Kiyomaru, which is not, Kiyomaru was not, in English, he was Kiyo.
Oh yeah,
And so it's like, I feel like they're like picking and choosing character names in that sense. And so it's like, I mean, I want to be so clear. I will buy whatever ends up coming out if we get it in English. Like
yeah.
I don't care if they call him Zach. Like I'm buying the volumes. Like I'm such a fan of the series. Like I don't care what they end up calling it. I have my preferences, but I will not be like, oh, it's called Zatch Bell now. I'm not gonna buy it or anything like that. Like I'm there day one no matter what.
Yeah.
But I
Maybe
do
I was
think,
an
yeah.
open-minded kid, but it feels like it is very easy for an audience to accept that kind of thing, especially because
Mhm.
localized names like Kyo from Kiyomaru, they're close enough that it's very easy to make that jump. Like I, as a child, as a I think a probably sophomore high school level, I got into
Mhm.
manga through Yu-Gi-Oh! And the Yu-Gi-Oh manga called the localized names of Joey, his name is Jinochi, and the manga called him Jinochi. So it was like so easy for me to
Oh.
jump to that because it's like it's close enough. It's like okay, I can accept that. And maybe it's just because I was so eager to jump into the manga space, but it's just like yeah, that really wasn't hard for me. I wasn't off put by that.
Yeah,
Um,
I feel like the anime or the dub at least like kind of like talked down to its audience in that sense, like by shortening, like it's like, oh, Kiyomaru is too hard or Kiyomaru is too Japanese. Let's make it a little more Americanized by calling him Kiyo. And then the same thing for Suzume, they change it to Suzy. And it's just like, okay, like I can hear a name and repeat it for what it is. Like you could have just kept them, but I don't know.
I think there
I
is some validity to.
I
I have a hard time
I
remembering names, and especially with names that
so the shorter the better.
I
yeah.
will say, you
I
know,
think I think 2 or 3 syllables is fine though.
I will say, we have a friend who I remember. This is 10 years ago. This is when I was like 2021. I had a friend whose wife didn't grow up with anime, and we were talking about Dragon Ball Z, and we were saying a lot of crazy names, and she was like, how do you remember all of those weird names? And I'm just like, we've seen it so many times, it's just like ingrained in us. And I do think even if the name is foreign or complicated, if you like the show, that name will still be ingrained in you.
Yeah.
It'll still leave an impression on you.
Exactly. I
Yeah,
mean,
I can
Pikachu.
do
No, like what the hell's like Pikachu is fully they just
that.
kept its Japanese name and everyone was like, "Okay, that's Pikachu. Love it." Like
Yep.
it's not impossible to just learn a new name. And then I mean, then look at how anime is now. Everyone has their actual like Japanese names. None of that changes anymore. And so I just really feel like the anime came out at an awkward time because it wasn't like super during the Americanization, like when like Sailor Moon came out, for example, Usagi was Serena and all that stuff. It wasn't that era, but it also wasn't quite fully what present day anime dubbing is like either. It was in that like awkward middle phase where they're like trying to keep it like where it is still set in Japan. They're not like, oh, we're in New York or something like that, but it's not. It's still trying to have some Americanizations in there as well.
Yeah, Viz had a couple dubs like that. I remember Mare, which is
I loved Mare. Yes.
March and Awakens Romance. I remember that dub was also like that, where it was like slightly edited. I think the soundtrack is completely different, but it like keeps more stuff than you would see in like a 4Kids dub.
Yeah.
There's a couple dubs like that.
I think a lot of people. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to slightly change the topic, so maybe you should go first.
Oh, I was going to say a lot of people do mistake Zatch Bell as having been 4Kids because of how the dub is, and I've seen it a lot on Twitter where it's like, oh man, 4Kids was crazy for that. I'm like, okay, 4Kids had nothing to do with this.
Do you know who? Do you know they're a smaller YouTuber, but do you know who Hal Cozy is?
Off the top of my head, no.
She is a YouTuber who like does videos on anime dubs, but with like a focus on a big focus on Southeast Asian English dubs, which hits my craving of like weird niche anime that like I would never a topic I would never care about, but someone is hyper fixated on it and they will tell you everything about it, and I love that. Because there's a lot of English dubs done in Hong Kong for the Southeast Asian market that air in markets like Hong Kong, Singapore, places, parts of Indonesia and Vietnam, because they have English-speaking population, an English-speaking population. It's just smaller, but there is still enough that there's a demand for English-dubbed anime in those regions, and it's cheaper to dub them in Hong Kong than to license, say, a Funimation dub or a Viz dub. And so a lot of her videos are going over those Hong Kong English dubbed anime. But she also talks more broadly about dubs and does like also covers 4Kids dubs and stuff like that. And that is one I know that she's been people are always in the comments talk about the 4Kids dub of Zatch Bell, and that is something that she is like trying to constantly tell people it is not a 4Kids dub.
Yeah, like that's what I try to use the Twitter account for a lot, is just like correcting the misinformation that is out there.
And
it's rampant sometimes.
That's something I was curious. Have you thought about making videos about these topics that you stumble on through Twitter, or just general videos about Zatch Bell?
Yeah, I do have it's not active right now, but I do have a YouTube, like I do have the Zatch Bell Updates moniker on a few different socials. I have an Instagram for it, I had a Blue Sky, I have a YouTube. It's just a matter of finding, for right now at least, things are very busy just in life in general, and so I'm just struggling with the time management of it all, so I'm kind of just using Twitter right now. But I do have other socials for that, and I was doing like weekly news updates on the YouTube and everything, and I wanted to get back into that, but it's just a matter of finding the time and making the time for it. But it's definitely, I mean, this is my special interest. Like I could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. So it's definitely not like I wouldn't have things to talk about.
It's not a bad idea. Like, just from personal experience, like, John's on YouTube. I work on YouTube as a more behind the scenes presence. I edit videos and stuff. And like, we're seeing more of a trend of YouTube becoming more like down to earth and simplified. A lot of people's second channels where they just kind of rant about whatever without any production quality behind it have been doing better than their main channel stuff that's really polished. So if there's a time to like jump into just like, I want to talk about this, you've got a good, mic presence. You're very good at talking to a microphone, just from our discussions here. I think it could really work out if you wanted to just make like simple videos.
Yeah, I would love to spread the gospel of people need to read this series. Like, I'll do everything I can. Like,
yeah. Do you know? There's a YouTuber I was thinking about. His name is Hamon Beat. I don't know if you know who that is.
Oh, I haven't seen his videos, but I know of because when I was reading JoJo's for the first time, like earlier this year, end of last year, whenever, a lot of people were telling me to watch Hamon Beats videos. But I was holding off because I didn't want any spoilers, and I never got back into that. But I'm aware of the channel.
I was thinking like you shouldn't have a Zatch Bell channel like that, because his are just like, they can be about a variety of subjects. It could be like, these are every JoJo's collaboration with a fashion brand, or every time a Jump artist did a tribute to Araki, or here's my review of this new chapter came out. I'm going to do a review of the new chapter, and with part 2 coming out, you can that would be like really easy content. So yeah, and another thing he does, another big thing he does, is like dispelling misinformation, because there's a lot about JoJo's. It's such a long-running manga, and there was a long period of time where JoJo's just wasn't hitting in the West. It's kind of crazy that it didn't really come over until the 2000s. It started in the 80s and didn't come over till the 2000s. Flopped multiple times, and then the 2012 anime, it took off. And so being such a niche community for so long, and then getting a wave of new people in, it really was, there's a lot of misinformation, and he's done a lot to disprove that information, where a lot of times it's always great to see when someone says like an old rumor, and then you just see the wave of people come in going, oh god, the old rumor, not true, not true, fake.
Yeah. I mean, that happened with Kenjiki no Gash also, like the final arc. I mean, I won't like spoil anything, but like there was this misinformation that was spread during the time when the fan translations were coming out for the final arc, that everyone thought the final arc was referred to as the King's Festival, and that there's no mention of a King's Festival in the series like whatsoever. This was a mistranslation from a comment in a Japanese forum talking about these chapters, but it spread like wildfire. And so for years, like I would have to see online in threads and forums and social media, everyone be like, oh man, the King's Festival arc is so good. I'm just like, there is no such thing as the King's Festival.
I think about with Hamon Beat is that he like really attacks certain subjects. Like there was a rumor in JoJo's. I don't know how much JoJo's have you seen or read?
Oh, I'm on what's out right now. What's
Steel Ball Run?
What's the current one? No. What's the current manga one that's right now?
JoJo Lands.
Okay, yeah, I'm on JoJo Lands. I'm not caught up on JoJo Lands, but I'm in JoJo Lands.
That's
right now.
perfect. I was going to reference part 4, so we're totally good.
Perfect.
The Josuke Savior. Do you know like the old rumor that Araki? There was an old rumor, and this was so prevalent. I believed it, and I said it, and I perpetuated it for years, which is that, oh, Josuke Savior is actually supposed to be him from the future, but that was Araki's original plan, was that Josuke would get sent back in time, and he was the savior that helped his mom when she was stuck in the snow. But then Araki changed his mind about how Bites the Dust, about how Bites the Dust works. So he changed it so that instead of sending Josuke back to his childhood, it only sends the person back a day. And because he changed it, that's like an error now, is that Josuke's savior was clearly supposed to be him. And how there's like, Hamon Beat really goes at it, where he's like, you can see evidence that this was not supposed to be Josuke. He is wearing a uniform that has a different year than Josuke is in that arc. So it is clearly from the beginning meant to be a character who is a different age than Josuke is during the arc. So clearly he was not meant to go back in time. And he has a bunch of other things to back it up, but that's the one that really stood out to me.
That's so funny.
The point, what's the point? Otherwise, what's the point of that scene, Dylan G? The point of that scene is to show that even a person who looks like they can be up to no good can have a kind heart.
Yes.
That is the point of the delinquent who has like a stereotypical gangster look, but he has a good heart. And contrast to Yoshikage Kira, who looks like your run-of-the-mill average salary man, is a monster.
Oh god, I love part 4 so much.
Part 4 is
Also,
great.
actually, there is a reference to part 4 in one of the bonus comics that Raikou does at the end of one of, I don't remember which volume it is, but he pulls a JoJo's reference, and so I love when Raikou does the references, or when I know what Raikou is referencing or what inspired one of Raiku's designs or whatever, because it's just like really cool knowing what pieces of media he's seen or read or watched. And
Mhm.
so I really liked knowing after reading JoJo's, when my friends pointed out to me that there's a JoJo's reference in Kanjiki no Gash, and I was like, this is perfect, this is beautiful.
Someone that's another thing, is that I was trying to pinpoint what his like influences were, and it's very difficult. I've looked online to see if anyone else has, and I have like not found much. There isn't much discussion in general, but like about his influences, people are a little like unsure, other than the author of Karakuri Circus. His mangas seem to be an influence, but that's more because Raikou was an assistant for him. So like, yeah, there's going to be some of that, similarities. We often see that in assistants who then make their own serialized story. Um, the one I kind of noticed, and this is up for debate, but it does seem like there's a bit of a Giant Robo reference. Giant Robo is the '60s manga slash tokusatsu where Daisaku Kusami, he's like a secret agent almost, and what happens is he finds there's an evil organization called Big Fire, and he finds this machine they built called Giant Robo, and the way it works is that whoever says a command into this watch, the first voice it hears is the only voice it will take commands from, and so Daisaku steals it and he says a command into it, and now he's the first person that said a command into it. Now he can control Giant Robo, and he uses it to fight against Big Fire. And I noticed that like I get a bit of that. The Daisaku and Giant Robo have like a partnership where even though Giant Robo isn't sentient, he is just a robot that follows commands. They do sort of have a relationship, and the OVA, which is what Ben pulled up here from the '90s, actually kind of expands on that a little more, where they do sort of project human qualities onto Giant Robo, like coolant leaking from his face, and it looks like he's crying when he's in danger and stuff like that. The Giant Robo OVA is excellent. I love it too. The guy in the chat who said that, and I got a little bit of that from Zatch, especially this image, which is from at the end of Volume 1. Raikou talked about his prototype manga that got rejected. That was like the predecessor to Zatch Bell, and I can totally see. It looks like a mix of Giant Robo and Gaia. Gaia is a robot from a different Mitsutaro Yokoyama manga called Mars, but it was also a work about a character who controls a giant robot. And I see a mix of both of those in this prototype here. So that was the only thing I sort of see, but even then, it's not like the strongest connection. It's a little shallow, but that was the one thing that stuck out to me.
I mean, that was already really cool to read when you shared that. Like, I never even, I know that Raikou is into Robo thing, like those Robo series, like because he's really into Ultraman. I know that for a fact. There are a lot of characters or spell names or little motifs here and there throughout the series that are nods to Ultraman, and I know he's into various like robot series. But I never like clocked that specifically, like that level of specificity that you did with the designs. But I completely see like the resemblance, especially with the headpiece, the shape of the head, and the way the face looks. Like I can definitely see. Obviously, he's never explicitly stated that, but I can definitely see. Like his like inspirations and influences have been like all over the place. Like I mean, just like very like from pop culture across like from anywhere like worldwide, like just various with how many characters and spells and everything he has to create. Like he's pulling from everywhere, honestly, and it's really cool to see. And I wish he would just talk about all of them, but he talks about some of them sometimes. And he has mentioned in I think one of his either Q&A. He doesn't do many interviews, which is frustrating because like I want to pick his brain so badly. But he has shared that one of his ideas, or one of what like inspired his concept with the spell book and everything, was this old I don't know, like folk tale or something called like the Red Book of Appin or something, and it has nothing to do with like spells or magic abilities or whatever. It's literally just a red book that involves demons in some capacity, and so he kind of took that, and that is what evolved into his spellbook system essentially for the series. But as far as other inspirations for like the very beginning of this story, like whatever started it, he has not talked about it, so it's honestly always up to just speculation. But I feel like you have a solid case here with this, I feel.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I think
I think Giant Robo is also something where, similar to Ultraman, it was like broad enough. How? When was Raikou born? Is he like a '70s guy?
Let's see. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I know he was like 26 when he started Kanjiki no Gash, which is insane. He was born 74.
74. Okay, so he would have grown up. I feel like he definitely would have been exposed to Mitsuteru Yokoyama's work. Yokoyama's work was being like adapted very heavily, like into the 80s. So, I could definitely, I think it's plausible.
Yeah, and he's done fan art. Well, I mean, I don't think it was fan art. It might have been for something, but he's drawn like Gurren Lagann before, like a long, long time ago. He doesn't really draw like fan art for things anymore, but long, long time ago, he did a few illustrations for Gurren Lagann. So he's definitely in that like mech robot space as far as being a fan of it goes. So I would not be surprised if that has influenced Kenji no Gash in so many like tiny ways.
Oh, and Lou in the chat said that he had a 5-star stories diorama in his is that Bergden board? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, Bergden Board. I forgot where the name came from, but Bergden Board is Raiku's company. He created to own the IP, to own all of his IPs, and so that's where he publishes from now.
That's that's like an older mangaka thing. Is that a lot of the older mangaka made these studios like Tezuka had Tezuka Productions. Ishinomori has Ishimori Pro. And then Go Nagai has Dynamic Planning. And it's funny because with Go Nagai, it was because when one of his first manga got adapted, it was like a massive hit, and Toei made a ton of money, and he made no money. So he was like, "Oh, I need to make like a company, so I own this."
Yeah,
I guess it's not as common anymore with a lot of the mangaka being like sort of tied down by the copyright of the like the magazines they publish in.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like as upsetting as the lawsuit and everything must have been, I feel like it was for the best because not many mangaka do get to say they fully own the IPs that they created. Like,
yeah.
Toei doesn't have the anime license anymore. He owns the license completely for any like piece of media for his series, and I feel like not many mangaka get to be that in control of their creations. So I'm so happy for him that everything that gets like passed now essentially, we know went through him first because his website has that license inquiry page. So it's like he gets to have the final say in everything for this series. It's not like he has to deal with like Toei executives or anything like that. Like he is the final say for this series, and I mean I feel like that's how every creator should be able to be that level of in charge of their series. But I love that Raikou owns all of his IPs like fully 100%.
Yeah, I think my limited understanding, like I don't look into much stuff outside of Jump, but I was actually looking into Katakawa, and they have a very similar thing. So I'm assuming it's just kind of standard practice, where basically exclusive publishing rights are fully owned by the publisher
Mhm.
that is hiring them. The part of the hiring process is making sure that they have the rights to your works. So it is like it's always that push and pull where it's like it's more risky to do it solo, to do it indie, but the trade-off is that if you're working under a corporate process, you have very little rights as far as just flexibility and stuff like that go.
Yeah.
Yeah. As for translations, I started looking into it. I didn't really look into it much. I read through when I was reading the manga. I was reading it on Manga Dex, which is seems to be going the way of Crunchyroll in that it's like it was for hosting, stuff that wasn't licensed, stuff, whatever. And now they're going corporate, which means we're probably not going to have access to it now. But Manga Dex, they have the different translations, and the one I read seemed like it's probably the best one as far as I can tell, just based on vibes.
I was told that the one with Makai in it is the good translation.
Yeah, new fan translation, which Zatch Bell Makai, is because they actually give a full rundown too. It seems like these are very dedicated fans, just wanting to give you the rundown as to what you can expect. And they're like, okay, Noel did the original translations. There's cool anime Destiny. Then there's the official Viz, and then there's theirs, which is based on the Viz translation, but not censoring and not and changing the names back to the original. So I thought that was interesting, that because that's honestly kind of what I wanted to do for One Piece for a while before I realized it's just a huge undertaking that I don't have time for. Where it's just like let's patch up some of the issues that the official translations had, but rely on the official translation. But probably shouldn't show the first chapter. Um, um, there's a little bit much going on there.
Can't show that in a Christian manga.
Yeah. No, but I thought that was cool that they're like, okay, based on the official translation, but let's patch up the issues that it had. It seems like a smart way to do that. So for anyone in here who hasn't read it, when we say, hey, talk to these publishers about getting Zatch Bell, Gosh Bell, Kanjiki no Gash, whatever it is, like definitely check it out. Like I mean that's the whole Zatch Bell updates thing, but seriously, it is a fun manga. Like it's an easy read. It is a throwback to that kind of classic 90s stuff that honestly works really well. Like I didn't have any major issues with it, and apparently it gets better after chapter.
You're not even at the you're not even at the good parts.
Yeah.
I love so much of the early stuff, but like, oh my god, you guys, like the chapter 100 is when it really picks up. Like the second arc is really really good, but the third arc, like absolute cinema. There's no other way to describe it. Like I don't know if you guys plan on reading more or not, but I hope you do, because it's really, oh god, it's so good.
I genuinely do, yeah. And speaking again as a One Piece fan in a similar boat, it gets good after episode 200 isn't the best way to convince people to read it, is a thing. But I will just say, even if it gets better later on, it's a good start. It's a solid start.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I love so much of like the first 100 chapters. There's so much I love about them, but for a lot of people, I feel like they wouldn't necessarily be as into it as they would be for the later stuff. So it's hard. It can be a hard sell sometimes, especially too with the art, the way the art looks in the very beginning. I love it, but there are a lot of people who, say it's rough looking and they don't really like how it looks in the earlier chapters, which fair, but like again, it evolves over the course of the series, and so it's just like you just have to stick with it. And it's such a short, like compared to like Naruto or Bleach or something, it is so short. It's 323 chapters and then you're done. Like it's just so
I also think that maybe stop showing the penises, Ben.
I thought it was done after chapter 1. I'm at chapter 2 now. I thought it was
now. There's a gun at a girl's head. This is just...
that part's fine. That part's fine. But no, you go.
I was going to say, oh my god, what was I going to say? You've done this to me. I can't.
I'm sorry.
Ben, you say what you were going to say.
Chapter 2's fault. It's chapter.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember now. Okay, I remember now. I was going to say, 300 feels like a big number, but I think people underestimate how quickly you go through a shonen manga. Like,
oh yeah.
I remember, it's funny because I thought I'd get through way more because I was thinking like, okay, well, there was a week where I read 20th Century Boys and I got through like 70 chapters in like over the span of like 5 days. Now, here's the thing. I had forgotten that that was a week that I was off work. And so even though like I could still put aside hours, like because I'm working most of the day, my free time is like, oh, I need to, break it up to other things. I don't have the freedom I would if I was off work and like, anyway. So I kind of didn't realize like, not going to get through 70 chapters on a regular 5 days where I'm going to work for 8 hours. At the same time, it is a shonen manga, and I can get through shonen manga a little quicker than something like 20th Century Boys, where it's a mystery and it's dialogue intensive. So don't let the 300 number scare you, because you can get through that pretty quickly.
For some additional context, I read through all of the first part of Chainsaw Man, which is we're halfway through it as far as the anime adaptation goes. So imagine double that length in manga form. I read through all of that in one day. Granted, it was pretty much a full day, but that was 100 chapters, and you could easily just read that in one day. It's so easy to just breeze through this stuff sometimes.
Yeah, I mean the pages they're like 16, 18 pages maybe, like because these were the ones that were published in Weekly Shonen Sunday. So it's like they're short. Each battle is like 2-3 chapters, and it's such an like I can fly through it, but that's just I've read it like 70 times. But
yeah, it's like 3 chapters is about the length of an anime episode typically, standard adaptation rates, and you can read through it a little bit faster than you can watch an anime episode, which is like 20 minutes. So just like imagine 3 chapters in 15 minutes is probably what you can expect.
Thank you for the super chat, Zero Taru. Yeah, Fukumoto also has his own company to sell his manga. That would make sense. Fukumoto is the author of Kaiji and Akagi.
Oh, okay. I remember that name, but
Ben, you didn't know that?
I don't remember names. How many times do I have to say it?
Maybe if he had spelled it FKMT, would you have remembered it?
Absolutely not.
Oh, okay. That's how everyone like in the community calls him Fukumoto. They call him FKMT.
I have a hard time latching onto the more like production aspect side of things. I love the artistic process behind stuff, but man, I don't remember like anything that's about anything behind the scenes,
including the author's name.
For the most part, it takes me a very long time to remember the author's name. I'll say I have to be really invested for like over a month. Which I guess I should know Kaiji's then, but I only read the manga for like a brief stint, and I was like, man, this is taking way too long. The anime adaptation is so much quicker.
Rare case of the anime being more paced quicker than the manga.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask Trey, have you seen any like of the Zatch Bell videos that are on YouTube, just videos where people talk about the series?
Yeah, I don't know if any new ones have come out in the last like month or so, but I think I've seen most of the video essays because I love when other people do video essays on this series. Not necessarily all of them are, because there are some people who make them a lot of people treat this series as like, if you remember it, like you get clout. Like there are a lot of people online who are like, man, who remembers Zatch Bell?
Yes, I was telling Ben all the videos I found were not from like most of that. Okay, like one of them was from like a manga guy, but then the other ones were from people who usually cover like millennial cartoons and are like, do you remember this weird cartoon? Like it's a little divorced from like the anime space and just in the general cartoon space.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like Viz packaged it really cartoony, and so I feel like there is a bit of that crossover. But I feel like that's one of the things I see a lot online is just like, who remembers Zatch Bell? And then people are just like, man, that show was crazy, or like, oh, I thought that show was a fever dream I had, and like that's all they say about it. Mm-hmm. And so to parse out the video essays that are actually like diving into the series and not just like, remember this weird show that was crazy or something, is it's just been interesting to see like who is talking about the actual like core of the series. And there are definitely some videos that I've seen, I don't remember the names off the top of my head, but there are some that I've seen that are really good. Like they show a lot of the manga panels and they discuss a lot of the core themes of the series. And like that's the type of stuff that I love to see the most for this series, because I feel like Raikou tackles so many complex emotions and dynamics between characters in this series that is so under discussed, I feel like. And so when I get to see video essays that cover like the actual more than just like the initial premise, and they actually dive into, you know, who these characters are, what they've gone through, what their growth is throughout the series, those are the ones where I really lock in and I'm just like, yes, you get it.
Yeah, nothing against the guy, but I was really disappointed by the Billiam video, and I already told Ben about this.
I'm so sorry, Billiam, if you're out there. I hated Billiam's video. He calls Brago Grago, and I could not. I'm just like, if you're gonna make a video about this series, because there are some people who call Kiyomaru, and that drives me nuts. Because I'm like, if you read this, if you look with your eyes, you'll see there's no you there. And so there's like things like that, but he was calling him Grago, and I was like, bro, did you even like?
Like, I was complaining to Ben. I was like, hey, you know, I liked his Lost videos. This one was like way too. First of all, it's all but like the last 3 minutes are plot summary, and then at the tail end he gives a little bit about it's kind of shallow, but he does say what he likes about it. He likes the partnership aspect. But then also in that 3 minutes, he refers to it as a Shonen Jump title.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. And like,
yeah, it's a real shame because like maybe he upped his standards by the time he got to it, but that Lost series, like our house, specifically coming from me, loves Lost. It is.
I like Lost.
I
controversially liked it more than Breaking Bad.
Yeah, which is I think is fine. I think I like it better than Breaking Bad. But it got such like a bad reputation as it was being released because it had such weird press around it. And so people always thought it ended badly, which I don't agree with. Anyway, he went through it. He made like a 5-part series that's like total like 10 hours long or whatever. And he went through all this detail of all the behind the scenes stuff. He really dug into it and found some great information about where like the writer strike was and how it affected it, because there's a lot of misinformation on that. He like really dug deep into it, and you can tell it was like a well-researched video and really good production behind it. And then to hear that a few years earlier he released this Zatch Bell video with consistent misinformation, and most of it's just recap anyway, is like, okay, well, yeah. That's a shame.
Yeah, no, I remember when that first, because I think I had watched a lot of Billiam's videos around that time, because he'd be bringing to light like stuff like Beyblade or Bakugan, or just things like he was talking about a lot of like those
millennial nostalgia. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when he covered Zatch Bell, I was in my head, I was like, oh, this is it. Like people are gonna finally, like, he has followers, people are gonna watch this, and they're gonna become fans of this series. I was like, this is what we need, more people like talking about this series like that. And then I watched the video and I was like, wait, but not like this.
Man, that is a real shame.
Yeah, but no, like what you said at the beginning of the stream with like, you can clock when people are, because they refer to the demons as Momoto, so that tells you that they watched the dub, because that's like a made up word that doesn't mean anything.
I watched a video that was specifically a review of the manga, and I caught it. He said Momoto, and I'm like, you watched the dub.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny because I was reading through the manga. I didn't watch a single episode of the anime dubbed, and it was like, why is there a term for this? It's just like these are a bunch of kids, and it's like I was still like 10 chapters in. They didn't talk much about how the demon world stuff. It's just like these are just weird kids with powers. We're still figuring that out what they are. But then I look up the arcs listing so I can see when Umagon comes up. And and I see the episode translation, episode titles right next to him. It's like a happy Momoda, a girl Momoda. What? It is like what is this term? It's like they're just kids, dude. They're just weird demon kids. What do you want?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's because, well, obviously, probably from Viz's perspective. I mean, a lot of this is so presumptuous of me, but I feel like just from Viz's perspective, they don't want to have them called demons because, again, they were trying to market it probably more for a younger audience,
Yeah.
and so I feel like they probably were just afraid to use the word demon because the word they use in Japanese is mamono, which can translate to, or probably like mamono, but whatever, is like monster, and I mean it has a bunch of different words, but the fan translation just goes along with demon because it's the most applicable, but even then it still doesn't really fit, and so Viz took that and just switched the N with a D and just made them their own thing, Momoto, which I do feel like is very, like, the thing is, I don't necessarily have problems with what Viz did, like, on their own. I understand their, like, what they're trying to do, but my thing is I get so caught up on, like, what gave them the right, like, you know what I mean, like, because I'm looking at it from like Raiku's perspective. Like, he didn't necessarily okay these name changes or these terms or whatever. Like, if he was the one who came up with these terms or approved of them or whatever, then that'd be one thing. But it's like I'm looking at it as like Raikou created this story, these characters, these names, and Viz took it and presented it with different names, different spellings of things or whatever. And I'm just like looking at it like from the integrity of the series. Like, they don't maintain that integrity. And so I kind of get, I mean, I take it upon myself, I guess, to be offended for Raikou, but like that's kind of where I come at it with, like, I guess I inherently reject a lot of what Viz did from that perspective, and it's like I have no right to be mad for Raikou, but like that's kind of, I guess, my thought process with all of that.
Yeah, again, I think that's because of the whole exclusive publishing rights things. He doesn't exactly have the legal right to step in and say you can't do this. Like, I do think a lot of Japanese companies kind of like put a lot of respect on the artist, and try to go with what they want, but especially with the extra step of division when bringing it overseas, there's probably very little oversight that he had over it. And my understanding is kind of like a lot of mangaka don't even really necessarily focus too much on their adaptations because they're like, well, the manga is what matters here. This is the original. This is what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have to worry about what it's called other countries because it's doing phenomenally in Japan. So that's all that really matters for him. I can't remember if it was like on his blog because he has an old blog that he hasn't used in forever, but he used to post some like trivia or like tidbits or whatever for his series on there. And I can't remember if it was like his blog or a tweet or something, but I swear at one point he commented on like, "Oh, I just found out that, outside of Japan it's called Zatch Bell, like interesting," or something like that. And it wasn't necessarily like he didn't necessarily seem like he was for it, but he didn't necessarily, I mean, he can't do anything about it by this point. But I wish I like saved that or screenshot it or something so I could be like, even the creator doesn't like this. But I mean, it's whatever by this point. Like, if there's no, I can't. I'm just one guy. I can't change. I can't change what the series was introduced to us as.
But we could slowly adjust people's opinions over time. That's what really matters.
I think you
We can
can.
get people more cultured.
We've had anime that were introduced through 4Kids, and people like latched onto those localizations. But as time went on, they were more accepting of the original Japanese. We've seen it happen. People,
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Sailor Moon. The same thing happened with Sailor Moon, like from the '90s dub to now, where everything like she's Usagi, like a lot more widespread now compared to Serena.
Yep.
So at the same time, though, like there's still Pokemon where it's like Ash, Misty, Brock, that never left. So
well,
it's just like
with
it's
Pokemon,
really.
with Pokemon, the people that own the rights are absolutely dead set on keeping it as localized. Like, we have a friend who's made some videos on Pokemon, and like he goes through like and translates all the interviews and all the blogs from people who work on the series, and like the Pokemon company is very much like, don't expect we're not going to do a subtitled release. This is always going to be dubbed, and it's always going to be localized for the audience because it does so well. We have no plans to change that. Whereas like with other series, they're a little more, we've seen them. Like, Billiam mentioned Shaman King. He mentioned it because he called it another jump title, which Zatch Bell is not. But he mentioned Shaman King, and I saw a lot of people talking about, oh, if Shaman King can get another chance can't Zatch Bell. Ironically, I think that the Shaman King remake is not good. So like
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's a little unfortunate, but like in the same vein, if a Zatch Bell remake was good, I think you could potentially get people in on the Japanese. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was another reason for I was really rooting for Kodansha for a few years because I think it was like 2021 or 2022. They said that in like some live stream that they were looking to do more license rescues, and with Shaman King specifically, its experience in the US was so similar to Zatch Bell because it was once published by Viz, it was not finished, and then years later, Kodansha rescued it. And so, and they did that with Shaman King. Like we have those new editions of Shaman King and everything. And so I'm like, okay, like now it's Zatch Bell's turn, but nothing ever happened. But it's just like it was like the exact parallel to what happened with Zatch Bell. And so in my head, I was like, okay, like this is Kodansha basically saying they're gonna do Zatch Bell next, and then they never did.
Yeah, I think it genuinely would help to get some more traction from somewhere. Like either as some official
Yeah.
re-release will spark a new audience, or somehow, some way, the internet sparks up its own interest, and then the official releases follow that.
Yeah.
So if we can't
Definitely.
rely on the official releases, then we just got to keep shouting out to the heavens and be like, hey, eventually it'll catch on, right? Why not?
I mean, I'm hopeful because like the thing is like I said, like it's been licensed in so many other like it does so well. When the current 16 volume edition that is what's getting licensed in other countries and everything, when Raikou released that under his own publishing company a few years in like 2018, 2017, something like that, he released them first as ebooks, and he was not planning on doing physical editions, but the demand was so high for them that he did start to look into how he can get these printed. And then they were printed in Japan and they're consistently selling out. They were the ebooks themselves were, ranked #1 on like Amazon Kindle and iBooks and every Apple iBooks or whatever it's called for weeks in Japan. Like it was every new volume, every new release was #1 on the charts. And then once he started printing those volumes after the demand was high enough, they consistently were selling out and having to get reprinted. And even to this day, like the sequel is, and then so I mean now there's a sequel. He made the sequel as like a love letter to the fans as a thank you for how much support he saw from the first series getting released in this way. Like everything is selling insanely well. It is so successful in Japan. So it got licensed in other countries, and those editions are doing well as well. And so it's like there's no I'm just like why like why are we not getting any of that? Like I don't understand. Because it's like a lot of people think that it's like under it. A lot of people think it doesn't do well or isn't as popular or whatever because of how they know it from like the North American experience of it. But like that is such a misconception because it does so well in Japan.
Yeah. Yeah, man, it's interesting to see like how that kind of works out. I do think a bad like dub or anime release and all that stuff can really affect the perception of
Mm-hmm.
a show and really taint it for a long time.
Yeah,
Again, all my experience.
I was gonna say he's gonna bring up One Piece again. Here we go.
I'm sorry, that's my only point of reference that
No,
consistently
it makes
applies.
sense. It makes sense.
But it's like it took like as popular as it was in Japan, it took a good like decade for it to really start gaining traction here in the West, specifically because of the fact that 4Kids had it for that bit, and then it was. I mean, it's just generally hard to get into. I have a whole rant about that, but a bad dub can kind of just like do that. It takes a good 10 years for people to kind of forget about that and move on to.
It's kind of funny because we always talk about how people don't remember. One Piece struggled in the West actually. It like Miles, who does all like the anime manga statistics, he's talked about it how like Naruto and Bleach were blowing One Piece out of the water, and even One Piece even struggled to series like Code Geass and even like I think Vampire Knight were reportedly their merchandise was selling better than One Piece over here. And those are series that are like popular and have their fans, but you wouldn't think like, oh, they're beating what is considered one of the big three and what is the biggest in Japan at that time. And I think part of that is the people call it the 4 kids stink. It still had that 4 kids stink up to it. And then I think also part of it is that it was a goofier show at a time where I think the audience in the US wanted like edgier shows. And I think Naruto and Bleach hit that edgy vibe, whereas One Piece wasn't as edgy, especially the version we got. And I think Zatch Bell might be a victim of that as well, where it's just like it doesn't have that edgy style to it.
Yeah, plus a lot of what would have made it edgy was either censored out or like watered down in the English version. And I think in general it's also hard because like the anime is not on any streaming service. Like so there's as far as accessibility goes, it's not like people can't even find the anime. Firstly, I would obviously recommend the manga over the anime, but as far as exposure goes, people can't even find the anime. It used to be on Hulu like a long time ago, but it has not been on Hulu in so many years. And the only place the English dub is, and it's not on DVD. Like they did a season 1 and 2 DVD release like several years ago, but that has been long out of print. So and the copies of it that do sell are like for hundreds of dollars, and it's for 50 or no 100 episodes.
Was that release dub only?
So that was another thing too. Like they never released like a dub sub like combination or anything. They kind of kept them separate, kind of similar to Pokemon. So there were English releases. Originally they released they were doing like a few episodes per disc for like 13 volumes of discs, which only got up to like episode 50 something or 40 something. And then several years later they released a complete season 1 and 2 collection, which again was still just seasons 1 and 2 because the English dub stopped after that, which released the first or the 100 English dubbed episodes, which technically there were 104 episodes, but those last 4 episodes were not included in any official release. And then that disc collection has been out of print for forever. And so it's not on any streaming services. The only place you can buy some of the English episodes to this day is, for whatever reason, the Microsoft Store. And it only goes up to like episode like 20 something or 30 something, and they have it broken up into like volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. So you think you're getting like the full seasons when in actuality you're not. You're getting like portions of a season cut into like 4 volumes, and they stop at like episode 30 or 40 something. So you're not that's the only official capacity to find the English dub anywhere, which is so bizarre. I don't know where the rights are as far as the anime goes in English. I think at least in 2018 or 2019, Viz still had an active English license for the anime, but they just weren't doing anything with it. I don't know where that is now though. But there's as far as accessibility goes, there's no easy way. I mean, obviously, unless you find websites online, it is easy. But as far as like official capacity, there's no easy way to find this series and watch it and stream it and everything. And I feel like streaming is a big part in how series get really popular these days. And so that avenue is cut off for Zatch Bell, which is another knock against it.
Yeah, you get a lot of series that maybe don't do well on release. And I'm talking about even older series. They come out maybe a Blu-ray, they get put on streaming, and all it really takes is maybe 1 or 2 people, maybe a few people watch it, and then someone starts posting clips of it and going, "Oh, this is like a neat show. This is a cool show. This is a funny scene."
Yep.
And suddenly those tweets go viral and people go, "Where do I buy this? Where do I buy this?" Talking with Shabes, Fist of the North Star, it originally came over in the 90s. They released the compilation movie, and the compilation movie did super well. They licensed the series, the full anime series, later in the 90s, and they started dubbing it. They dubbed about 33 episodes, and it flopped. Did terrible. Ever since then, no Fist of the North Star thing has done well in the US until 2017. And what happened in 2017 is the Omayama wo Shinderu meme blew up on Twitter, and suddenly a bunch of people just bought box sets of Fist of the North Star because that meme
Wow.
blew up.
So I guess the lesson of the day is to just post memeable stuff.
Yeah,
on
for
Twitter.
real.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how like the tiniest thing can. I mean, but that's the thing too. It's like even if this series blew up, there's nothing to go and buy. Like you can buy the Japanese volumes or something, sure, but like the English volumes have been so long out of print. If you can even find any of the later volumes, they're hundreds of dollars on eBay. I'm not like volume 25 can go for like at like minimum like $300 or $400, and it's insane because of how like people are so intense about collecting these volumes that it's not a finished run. The translation is not good in my opinion, but people are paying so much money for these editions. It's like there's no like current active way to be a fan as far as like purchasing things goes for English fans. And so it's like there's no easy way for a fan base to grow, I feel like, because it's like you have to find the fan translations of the manga to read the full story. And the current team that's doing the English fan translations, like remakes, essentially, um, they're not finished with this series. So it's like at some point you will have to break off and go back to one of the original fan translation versions of the series. So it's like there's just no easy just go here, read it all, you're done. So it's like you have to like piece together your experience with this series, which does also make it a bit cumbersome for for new fans to come along, because it's like unless you really are into it or really like it, you might not want to put in that effort to read it or to watch it. And I understand that, but it's just like that is all playing a part in how underrated this series is, which is, as someone who loves the series so much and wants to see it do well and thrive here, is really like disheartening to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah,
want
going
to
against
thank you to the person who called me out. It's not a compilation movie. It's a retelling because it is entirely reanimated. Thank you for the call out. I was talking. That's about Fist of the North Star. I'm sorry, I called it a compilation. But yeah. To answer people in the replies, really, a word of mouth does go a long way. So if you
Absolutely.
find yourself reading Zatch Bell and you find a funny panel, post it. Make a funny joke about it. If you find a funny clip from the anime, post it. I am a fake fan, Dylan G. I'm coming to terms with that as I speak.
Yeah, the biggest fan is the first to admit he's a fake fan. I think Confucius once said that.
I have watched the movie. I watched it with Chad, and Chad has not seen the series or read the manga. He's only seen that movie. But anyway, regardless, that doesn't matter. But someone in the chat did ask about the Fist of the North Star manga from Viz. I have heard it is selling exceptionally. I've heard it's doing very well.
Great.
That could be an extension of the meme because now people are aware of it. But Viz, from what they were saying, those like hardcovers they did sold really good. So that's really happy to hear that. It actually got me thinking about how like it seems like age does like when you're recommending an anime to people, I think the age of the anime is something that's worth mentioning, where it's like, just so you know, this is from the 80s, so it's if that's going to be an issue, if you haven't seen a lot of anime that's that old, it might look a little different, it might seem a little weird to you. With manga, you don't really need to do that. I feel like it feels like the age of the manga doesn't, while the art style may be different, there may be older conventions, it feels like less of a barrier, at least.
Yeah,
I think
it's
so. Like
timeless.
I think the style of manga kind of calcified at like in like the 60s, and ever since then you can kind of just know what to expect with that as the stylization goes. Because like I read through the oldest manga I read through is probably Ashita no Joe, and it was like, okay, I'm sensing a little bit of weird stuff. Like the way they do paneling is pretty different than what you'd typically expect nowadays. But everything after that, I could probably never tell you, aside from just the fact that like, oh, okay, this is kind of drawn in like the typical 90s shonen style, But like as far as reading it goes, it's all the same.
You're
It's
not
all
you're
the same
it's more,
text on the
it's
page.
rarer that you're gonna get someone to look at a manga and go, why are the graphics bad?
Yeah. Uh,
Asha no Joe is actually also another series that Raikou did some fan art for a long time ago.
oh yeah, yeah. Like
Yeah.
I mean, all the best mangaka love Ashton. It makes sense. Here's something that I've been thinking of though. I, I, I in my head I was, I told you I was introduced to this by comparing it to Pokemon, except Pikachu is a baby. Um,
Mhm.
this reading through it, it honestly reminded me a lot more of Digimon, specifically because of the fact that it's like, it's got this partner system and it's like
Yes.
a big appeal of these the power system. Is usually just like, okay, you shoot beams or whatever, but the power system in this type of shonen is very close to like the collectible creatures phenomenon that happened in the 90s, where it's like, okay, yes, you have like these little creatures that are fighting on your behalf, except like there's personalities that can clash with when you have these kind of like partners that happen. And that was something I recognized from Digimon as one of its biggest strengths, is that unlike Pokemon where they're just like animals, like you can actually have like a lot of character work happen in basically between a character and their superpower, which is just a really good medium for that. And so this is a very similar kind of dynamic, and I kind of wonder if one inspired the other there a little bit. I think Digimon came first, if I'm not
I
being crazy.
believe, yeah, Digimon was like 2000 or something, and I think, right? And then
I think
Zatch Bell was like,
1999.
okay, 19, yeah,
Digimon is 99 because I
1997.
remember it came out like right before Y2K, and I thought that was really interesting that it has a positive view of the internet in something that came out in 1999.
But no, I honest, and it's because of Zatch Bell that I love like just partnership dynamics in things so much. Like, so Digimon is definitely another huge favorite of mine, and I just anything that has some type of partnership dynamic, I'm immediately going to be attached to, and I feel like that is in large part because of how much I love the dynamics portrayed in Zatch Bell. And I do agree with it. I feel like it has more in common with Digimon than Pokemon, because with Pokemon, like, yes, there's a bond between the trainers and the Pokemon, but there's not actual communication. Like, you can obviously infer what your partner Pokemon is feeling or thinking or whatever, but like you can't actually converse with them in the way that like the Digi Destined can talk, like, for to use dub terms, the Digi Destined can
They're
use.
chosen children, please.
I know. Well, that's the thing. That's the funny thing to do. I forgot what I watched the sub only. I've never seen the dub aside from the movie. But I just off the top of my head, I only remembered Digidestined, so I'm sorry for that. But yeah, the chosen children, the way they can converse with the Digimon, and the Digimon have their own, goals, thoughts, feelings, whatever, that they're able to convey and communicate. And what I like too about the dynamic in Zatch Bell is that, like, it's not because, like, with Pokemon, for example, the Pokemon are used to, like, on behalf of the trainers to win their battles, whereas with Zatch Bell, it's the human partners are the ones who are helping the demons, reach their goal of defeating each other. And but that also at the same time, there are human partners who are using their demon, for their own means, like the guy, Hosokawa, who had Raycom, who was like robbing the bank and everything,
Yeah.
to get what he wants and get rich out of this. Whereas other partnerships are the demon using the human partner, like Shinichi and Eshros. Eshros just wanted to destroy stuff, and so he's using and manipulating Shinichi to get what he wants and get strong that way. And then there are other partnerships where it's fully equal, like obviously Kiyomaru and Gash, or Megumi and Tio. And so I loved that Raikou was able to establish so many different dynamics with the same partnership system, because I feel like that's so unique. I feel like not many series are able to do that. It's kind of all are aligned on one spectrum or something. Whereas with Zatch Bell, I feel like it varies so much between each of the pairings. And that was one thing I really, really love about the series.
That might be, yeah. If I were to like recommend it to someone now, I would probably compare it to Digimon because I think that gives the best kind of
Yeah.
impression of the dynamic of the show.
Yeah. Definitely, because it was like it was each kid had one Digimon they were partnered with, whereas Pokemon is like, gotta catch them all. And I feel like, so that's one of the things I always didn't like whenever I would hear people compare Zatch Bell to Pokemon, because I'm like, it's not like you can collect other demons. It's one spell book, one demon per human, and they can't collect more. They can't obtain more. It's a single, like, two people are paired together and like that's it. And so that's a lot more akin to Digimon than Pokemon for sure.
Yeah. Huh.
Oh man, Koi's play is in the chat referencing the iconic Zatch Bell Abridged.
I never followed his Zatch Bell Bridge. Is that
Don't worry,
was that one of the classics, or is it
without
Oh,
going
yeah,
without going in too deep into a so for Trey, I guess you should know this. We used to be part of the abridging community years and years ago. That was how we met.
Okay.
We were doing voiceover and parody stuff. I mean, that's about where that story ends. There wasn't anything scandalous. that was the scandalous part. Was
Yeah. I understand if you don't want to talk to us after hearing that, but just recognize we've moved on from that. We've grown and we've learned our lesson.
We've changed. I have a Google Doc where I say how much I've changed. There was I mean, back in the day, there was an abridged series of everything. Like
that is true.
You type in Ed and Eddie, there was like 3 Ed and Eddie abridged. But yeah, there was a Zatch Bell abridged, and that was his joke, was that there was a character that just said $2. I mean, we're talking comedy gold, so.
So yeah, it was one of the good ones.
It was one of the good ones, right? Oh, I think we did a good job. We hit 2 hours, and then we went another 15 minutes. I think that was perfect. Ben, what are you drawing?
I was trying to draw
Suzume.
Suzume, yeah.
Yeah.
Why did you say that with so little confidence? You were like,
I'm terrible with names. How many times? I feel like I've done nothing but say I'm bad with names.
I would never forget her name was Suzume Mizuno, because my favorite Sailor Scout is Sailor Mercury, and her name is Ami Mizuno. And I was like,
well, that's a
nice.
I did get kind of stuck there, because I was like, I know it's like Mizu, because I thought, well, like, oh, that's water. But I lost the rest of it. So, but yes, that's what I was trying to draw. I'll finish this up and post it on Twitter.
Nice.
Which, by the way, if you can follow me on Twitter at 1000 Stupid Words, I'm going to be entering a manga contest soon, so you know that I'll be posting how I won that and became a famous mangaka.
Ben's goal is actually to become the first famous mangaka to say he was influenced by Zatch Bell. So.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
Please
honestly,
spread the word.
if I become a famous mangaka, I promise to use that to help the Zatch Bell influence.
Ben, I can never find your Twitter. When I type in 1000 stupid, I have to type in stupid before it shows up. Type in 1000.
It's the number 1000.
I know
in stupid words, but I don't know why it wouldn't. Like, I guess it's just because I'm not Twitter savvy enough to get popular enough, and there for Twitter to care.
I'm trying to post everyone's links. There's Trey's. Follow the 4th spell for your Zatch Bell updates and the occasional catty retort. I love them. Keep them coming.
Honestly, really good.
And then follow Ben, I guess.
If you feel like it, I don't know. I still post, like, it can be sporadic, but I post as many as my silly Gartic phone drawings as I can. So if you want good art that's also really funny and drawn in 2 minutes, the perfect spot for it.
I see people criticizing your Gartic phones, and they must not know that the point of this game is you have to draw this in 2 minutes.
First of all, I don't think I've seen a single person complain about it, but I guess
it may have been on one of Chad's then.
but usually when because I've had a few that have gone viral.
Yeah.
They're always like, "How did you draw that so fast?" And I'm like, "Yes, I'm getting recognized for how fast I am at drawing."
Hell yeah!
It's one of my only skills.
You are grooming yourself to become a weekly mangaka.
Exactly. See, it's the perfect opportunity. I just make me a weekly manga famous artist, Katakawa. I promise I'll do good.
All right.
But,
I think that wraps.
Do you have anything else you want to plug? Trey?
Uh, read Kanjiki no Gash, read Zatch Bell.
Yeah, I could genuinely give it my recommendation. I think over it did like take a second to grow on me, particularly the art style. It took a second for that to grow on me. But like the story is it's just like a simple fun of just that kind of 90s creature collection. It is very much like Digimon vibes, of just kind of like these opposing forces of this cute little kid Gash bumping heads with a teenager who is above it all, and them battling it out with funny weird guys. Like honestly, it's a very fun start, and apparently after chapter 100, it goes buck wild.
Like,
Oh yeah,
you
it's
don't even. It's you're not even at the good part. Like,
it is
just
funny because I when I got to around chapter 30, I did tell Ben, I literally said like, usually this is the point in the shonen manga where they introduce the character who's the evil version of the main character, and then that's right when they have the fight with Robnos, where he's like, I think it's Robnos is the guy, where they beat him, and then he goes, by the way, Zatch, I saw an evil version of you in Europe, and I was like, oh, here we go, evil version. But I make fun, but I am very interested, and I think we should if you're down for it, reconvene after we've completed part 1, maybe.
Ooh,
And then
yes,
and then we
I
can
would
just-
love that.
we can talk about the actual content rather than just the first, part of the first arc.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it'd be fun to like we could kind of like make it this series where we go through and occasionally and kind of like react and give our discussions on how the manga is progressing. It would be fun to do.
I would love that. If I'm if I'm part of that, that'd be fantastic.
We wouldn't do a Zatch Bell episode with anyone else.
Oh, I mean so much. Thank you.
Well, this was genuinely fun, so thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for reaching out. This was so cool. Like literally, if I could, this is amazing. I love talking about this series and just talking about it with other people and everything. So like, I was so excited when you reached out. So thank you so much for having me. This has been amazing.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because I think I DM'd you, but I didn't get a response, so I was just like, he's not interested. It's fine, and I moved on. And then I noticed Dylan G, who's in our chat, I had DM'd him and been like, hey, I saw you made an Evangelion video. That was really good. You wanna come on a stream once and we can talk about it and your process? And he didn't reply. And I was like, okay, well, he's still showing up in my chat, so he doesn't hate me. And so I just tweeted at him like, hey, can you check your DMs? I sent you a thing. And then he was like, oh yeah, I didn't see this. And then I was like, I bet the Zatch Bell guy didn't see mine either, and I think that's when
those are awful.
That was because I was getting a lot of DM because I try to tell people if they don't know where to read it to DM me, because I feel like especially on Twitter, if you like name the places you are reading things, that is how we lose them. Like RIP Bato. Like I am so I'm really careful. I'm like trying to, because I would see a lot of comments in like replies to mine and people being like, oh, I read it here. I'm like, okay, well, there's not going to be an option if you keep saying. So I tell people.
I mentioned manga text, but yeah, I had to bring it with the caveat of it's already on its way out. Don't worry. Don't expect to find it there soon.
Yeah, and so I tell people like, DM me if you don't know where to read it or whatever. So I turned off the notifications so I can just like go into my inbox whenever, because I was getting a lot of push notifications, and so it was muted. I had no idea that you even messaged me until you like tweeted at me that you had DM'd me. So I wasn't ignoring it or anything like that. And obviously I responded right away as soon as you tweeted about it. But I was so glad that you reached out. I was like, this is amazing. Like this is all I want to do. Like I would love to talk about Zatch Bell people forever. So this is awesome.
All right. Any final questions, concerns, comments from the chat? I'll let that go for like a minute or two, and then I guess we can call it a night. It's pretty late on our end. For me and Ben, we're Eastern time, so it's about to hit midnight. I know you're.
Yeah, sorry about that. I wish I could get back sooner.
Oh no. I mean, no. We don't. I think I said specifically, hey, we don't have kids. It's fine.
yeah, but I mean, I still feel it was.
Yeah, like John has work, but it's not that early in the morning, and I'm self-employed, which means I get to mess up my sleep schedule every 2 weeks and deal with the consequences of that.
Gosh, these drawings have been amazing, by the way. I've been watching, obviously, and they're so good.
Thank you. Yeah, it's again, the art style is very fitting to me. So
Oh, I
I'll
love
tweet
it.
them out for you to gawk at all you want.
I mean, if you know all else fails, you could just redraw Zatch Bell yourself and just publish it that way.
Of course.
Maybe,
If I face over
if Ben
everything.
got sued for plagiarizing Zatch Bell, that might be the best thing to happen to Zatch Bell's reputation. Is that
Yeah,
Second lawsuit involving Zatch Bell.
imagine the news article. So some fan redrew every single page of Zatch Bell and got sued for it. I think that would be a good enough attention grabber
that's
to get people to
publicity?
read it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then people will be like, "What's Zatch Bell?" And then they'll look into it, become a fan of it, and then that's how we get it.
All right, I will fall in this sword. I will be your martyr.
I mean, you're halfway there. You drew 3 of them already, so just
Yeah.
So to answer the few questions we got in the chat as things are winding down, would I ever make a video on Gash Bell? Yeah, absolutely. I'd want to at least finish the first part of the manga first, and then maybe talk about how my thoughts, my experiences with it, and then like some of the relations I see to other series. I think those are cool. My favorite fight / mini arc, the two that are my favorite are probably so far are Shinichi and Kululu, because I love I love tragic characters. All of Ishinomori's heroes are tragic heroes. They're like they're heroic in that they do have a sense of justice, but they also endure so much tragedy where they lose loved ones, and every battle, they don't, it isn't a party after every battle, because there is unfortunate circumstances of having to fight, and that's always a part of Ishinomori hero stories. Something I don't know if this was ever explained to you, but a lot of the stuff on my channel is about the manga author Shotaro Ishinomori, who is most known for Kamen Rider and then also Cyborg 009. But he made he actually has, so it's a bit of a I don't trust the Guinness Book of World Records. He is in the Guinness Book of World Records for most manga published by a single person. Guinness Book of World Records is not a trusted source though, but I think it's fair to say he has made a lot of famous ones.
Interesting. I do know Kamen Rider is another one of Raiku's inspirations for some just characters and things like that. So that's the extent of my knowledge with Kamen Rider.
It's okay. That's anything Ben goes, he's just like, there's a One Piece character that references that. So I'm used to that.
Yeah, that's the best I got.
That's funny.
My favorites were the Fulgore. Is that his name? God dang.
Yeah.
Fulgore.
Yeah,
Yes.
You got it.
Okay.
Fulgore and Kanji.
I laughed throughout like the whole fight, pretty much. And also the big guy and whose guy wanted him to destroy the school.
Shinichi.
Oh yeah, Shinichi.
Yeah.
Shinichi and Eshros. Those are good choices. I mean, I can't wait to know what you guys think about the later stuff, because oh my gosh, but so far though, good picks. I mean, Kululu, I love Kululu, like literally. I mean, she sets the tone for the series. She inspires Gash for his resolve. Like I
was gonna say, I don't know, is it in the, I like that there's panels and just from what I've seen where he remembers her and he like reiterates that she is the reason why I'm fighting, because I almost called it the Momoto world, because the demon world needs a benevolent king, and they actually like did the anime include that? I felt like after her episode, I never saw another episode where they reference her.
It's actually the opposite. It's they reference it too many times in the anime to where it kind of becomes a meme, where it's like he'll just like wake up one day and be like, oh my god, remember Kululu burning her, like remember Kululu's book burning? And it's like it kind of gets to the point where you kind of get tired of seeing it, which I really hate that the anime did, because it is such an integral, like she is the reason he has that resolve. Like she a lot of the beginning chapters are such an important setup for. I mean, even like the fight in the botanical garden, like that sets up how Gash and Kiyomaru fight. With like when Kiyomaru points his finger, like Gash has to keep an eye on that hand to know where to point. Like there are little things like that throughout in the early chapters that really set up the entirety of the series, from Gash's resolve to how Kiyomaru and Gash like act in battle and how they function as a team. And so I love those earlier chapters because you get to see those building blocks happen. And it's honestly like without Kalulu, like Gash would not have made it as far as he did or does. Like he doesn't have any result. He doesn't know what he wants to do or what kind of king he wants to be until Kalulu. And that is so important. And I love Kalulu so much.
Yeah, that is kind of like the starting point for the overarching narrative, which is
Mhm.
it's harder for me to get invested in episodic stuff. So that was really the
Yeah.
point where, and especially when they brought it back with the idol, which I'm not sure if you got to, John. That's at the tail end of what we were
Megumi
reading.
and Tio, I got to them.
Okay, yeah. That's where they first bring it. Mainly, like the crux of the conflict is resolved by that, and that's where I was feeling like, okay, these are coming together. I'm starting to really like this. That's where I started to get really invested, honestly.
Yeah.
All right.
Weird Proc, you said Tezuka has a ton. Tezuka might actually have the most. Dennis says it's the Shinomori. I don't trust them. Both of those two guys had massive studios of artists pumping out manga. Like Tezuka had like 33. I watched the NHK documentary on A Week in the Life of Tezuka. He has a studio of like 33 people drawing manga for him. Ishinomori also had a very large studio of people who did manga for him. I think sometimes Ishinomori would do like 300 pages a month he put out. So it's an insane number. Those old guys were really pumping those out.
And then they died.
And then they died at 60, hard stop.
Which is unfortunate, really tragic.
Ishinomori also smoked a ton, which did not help.
Probably not.
But yeah, thank you for coming on, and thank you everyone for joining the stream. It was
Thank
fun.
you for the invite. This was great.
Yeah, and H250V. Next time, once we follow up with Zatch Bell, I will draw Zatch eating some raw yellowtail tuna. If you show back up again, remind me because I'll probably forget.